Okay, good morning. Today is Tuesday, February 28th, 2023. This is a regular meeting of the Kings County Board of Supervisors. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Here.
Richard Valley is absent. Doug Verboen.
Here.
Rusty Robinson.
Here.
Paused, I apologize. Richard Fagundes.
Here.
2 weeks off. My brain doesn't want to remember your names. I apologize.
Okay, we have 4 members present and ready to conduct business today.
I'm to
At this time, we'll call Pastor Andrew Cromwell from Colonia Church for our prayer. Morning, Matthew. Pastor. Morning.
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 Well, would you just bow your heads and let's pray together? God, we pause this morning to thank you for a beautiful new day. Thank you for your grace and mercy that is fresh and new every morning. We're asking, God, for your wisdom and your grace in the meeting today. Thank you that we can come in this place before this board and all the servants of the county to conduct the business that's important to this place. And Lord, we ask that today for all the conversations that need to be had, all the presentations, all the recognitions, all the agenda items, that you would give us your wisdom, Lord, that you would help there to be clarity and there would be dialogue that would be effective. We desire to have a county that would move forward in every way to be the head and not the tail. We thank you that even though Kings County many times is seen as a small place, we know that it's not small in your eyes. And so we ask for your blessing, your grace, and your wisdom today over all of these proceedings. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. At this time, follow me in the pledge of allegiance. Ready? Salute. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, at this time, we're going to recognize our employee of the quarter, employee recognition, and I'm going to turn it over to Maria Waite, Red Hill.
I'll kick it off.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. In 1990, your board approved the formation of the Employee Recognition Committee. Each quarter, employees are nominated based on their outstanding performance and achievements in various departments. These nominations are reviewed and voted on by the committee. The committee requests your board to recognize and award Employee of the Quarter with a presentation and a check for $300. This quarter, the committee would like to recognize Ms. Kimberly Eggert from Child Support Services. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Marie Waite, Director of Child Support Services.
good morning.
Morning, Board of Supervisors. Marie Waite, Director, Child Support Services.
Cassie Weeder, Executive Secretary of Child Support Services.
Kings County Child Support Services Department values and encompasses the acronym CHILDREN. This spelled out means KCCSS values communication, honesty, innovation, listening, dependability, relationships, education, and nurturing. Kimberly Eggert, known as Kim to us, is the KCCSS Assistant Director, and she embodies her leadership role by following all values while making significant contributions of improving the lives of children in the child support program and our staff. Due to her exemplary leadership, she's been awarded Employee of the Fourth Quarter, 2022.
Value number 1, communication. Kim leads by example in the way she communicates with others. She is dedicated to gaining understanding from those she interacts with and endeavors to see things from their point of view, always keeping an open mind. She doesn't talk to others, she talks with them and seeks their input to obtain buy-in and reach successful outcomes.
Honesty. Kim promotes honesty within the office as a broader concept that includes trust, integrity, and work ethos. She demonstrates honesty at work, which fosters an environment for self-accountability where people feel trusted and appreciated.
Innovation. Kim is our go-to expert in the office with maximizing the use of technology. She is thorough in her research and pursues the options that propel the program forward, utilizing the needed modernization to benefit families and our staff.
Listening. Kim always takes the time to truly listen in all situations, whether it be a meeting setting or a one-on-one conversation. She listens with intent and purpose to learn something new, as well as to know the needs of her staff, the department, and the families we serve. Kim is currently training a program manager on the fiscal budget duties and responsibilities of the office. The program manager shared, because Kim listens with purpose whenever I have questions or concerns, I feel she understands me. She's open to feedback and new ideas and is able to clearly evaluate how to train me in the most effective and efficient way possible. I see Kim display this trait with everyone she comes in contact with.
Dependability. Kim exemplifies one of the greatest abilities of success in a leadership role, dependability. Kim exhibits strong dependability by having clear communication with her team, meeting deadlines, taking initiative, and being detail-oriented. There is no question as to Kim accomplishing anything she sets as a goal, as she never wavers in her dependability. In being dependable, Kim has not only met and surpassed goals and expectations for work product, but has also cultivated a strong, team-oriented work culture that lets her staff know she will always be there for them and the betterment of their work environment.
Relationships. Kim is very well trusted, respected, and shows self-awareness. This has fostered positive working relationships in the workplace. She remains professional while being impartial and goal-oriented, which is beneficial for everyone involved.
Education. Kim cares for families and seeks opportunities to share the knowledge of the program through outreach in our community. She is a thoughtful professional that asks follow-up questions that yields a higher degree of educating those that include both internal and external customers.
Nurturing. Kim is a mentor, trainer, and devoted to those that surround her. Naturally, she displays a nurturing demeanor as she serves wholeheartedly with the focus of encouragement. Kim possesses all of these values. This nomination was created by each member of our management team. We all took one of the acronyms, so Cassie and I are representing the entire team today. And in her role, she really is a mentor, trainer, colleague, leader in the department. Kim is genuine, humble, open-minded, self-aware, experienced, nurturing, dependable, innovative, communicative, honest, and courageous, which makes her a vital part of our department. We are honored to be celebrating her today. Congratulations, Kim, as Employee of the Fourth Quarter 2022.
Your speech. Oh, I was not prepared for a speech last week nor this week. In general, I just want to say thank you. I love working for Kings County. I've been here a little over 20 years, and it's been an enjoyment. I'm in child support. That will be my last department, but I really enjoy working for Kings County. It's been a pleasure.
Back here with a donut being out.
Claire? Thank you very much.
Okay, at this time, we'll go ahead and go to unscheduled appearances. Any person may directly address the board at this time on any item on the agenda or any other item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. 2 minutes are allowed. And also at the same time, this is our last day under COVID restrictions, and I think we've all heard how to do the WebEx. And if you have you want to raise your hand, raise it on the WebEx feature, and we'll recognize you and keep your mic on mute during that process. At this time, do we have anybody that wants to speak? We have a full house today.
We do. I have no written correspondence, but I have so far 15 speaker cards. The first one is Scott Garrison.
Scott, come on down. Well, we gave all the prizes away already.
Darn it. All right. Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I'm here today to talk for Kings County Local 3747. Once again, Today I'm introducing Oreo, our newest member of the local. Oreo is a 16-year-old Bernedoodle. Oreo is donated to Happy Hands and Paw Prevail by one Battalion Chief Rick Levy. She's being trained since she was 9 weeks old. She is becoming a facility dog, basically to help with PTSD and, things like that. As a facility dog, she will be used for emotional support and promote positive mental health for the firefighters and our community. Oreo will be instrumental in creating a preventive program for our firefighters and recognizing our mental health as first responder. Oreo and Captain Kevin Menez here are in the process of being certified under the Pet Partners. Completing the certification will allow her and Captain Menez to go to hospitals, community events, physical rehabilitation centers also. So it's not just going to be used for the firefighters, it's also something for the entire community. Oreo continues to train daily with the handler, Kevin, and once or twice a week, she works with Happy Hands. Forgive me. This is not my specialty, obviously, fighting fire is. So Oreo spends time in the training at numerous stations. She also comes out and helps during public events. You guys have seen her probably at the Thursday night marketplace. She was at the Christmas parade. She's been to a few schools and sporting events. She's also was at the Wine and Chocolate. We just wanted to introduce you. This is something the union has been working very hard on. Mental health is a big thing with firefighters. PTSD is a huge thing, and this is just a tool for us to have to help with your fire department. Chief Lynch has been very instrumental in helping us get a policy for her to be at the station at all times when Kevin is on duty. So this is something that we're very passionate about. And if you guys would like, Captain Menez can bring her back. You guys can say hello, or we can just.
So what kind of a doodle was that?
It is a Bernedoodle.
Bernedoodle. So what's a Berna?
Go ahead.
After these mountains.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. And you say you're her handler or she's your handler?
Both. Yeah. Yes.
Getting treats. She was getting treats right there just looking at you. So
Yeah.
I think she's in control. Yeah.
She's got it figured out. Yeah, she's got it figured out, so.
Yeah, very good. Well, thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for your time, gentlemen.
The next speaker is Kelly Vernon.
Morning, Kelly.
Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. I'm Kelly Vernon, Chief Probation Officer. This is the last time that I will have the privilege of introducing myself as such. I wanted to take a moment to thank this board for the opportunity to serve as your chief for the past 8 years, and to all the citizens of Kings County for the opportunity to work here for the past 30 and a half years. It has meant a lot to me, just a kid from Corcoran, so this has been a pleasure and a privilege to work with all of you. Thank you for your support over the years, and I will just be next door. So I'm available by phone if there's ever any questions, and my hope is to help this transition be just as smooth as it possibly can be. But I will miss this very much, and I just want to thank you.
We want to thank you too as well. I mean, you led by example. We did our evaluations. You were the first evaluation we did, and we did it because we knew we could do a nice one. And you set the standard, and we wish you all the best in the future. We wish we could compete, but we can't. And just don't forget the little people over here in Kings County.
I'll never forget Kings County. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Evan Jones.
Morning, Evan.
Good morning, members of the board, supervisors. I'm Evan Jones, your purchasing agent and manager for the County of Kings. As you may or may not know, we lost back mid-October of last year, not only a seasoned purchasing assistant, but also a 31-year Kings County veteran, Art Perez. Art separated from the county, and I'm delighted to say, however, that he is the purchasing manager for the city of Hanford. Since that mid-October time, I've been the sole one in the purchasing division. A recruitment for a purchasing assistant was released, and I started the vetting process after Human Resources did. Out of the candidates interviewed, one stood out in particular, and I'm very pleased to introduce Ligeia Tunnicliffe to you as the new purchasing assistant. She started January 23rd of this year, so she's been here a little over a month. Ligeia's extensive academic background from West Hills College, acquiring 4 degrees in political science, psychology, social science, and computer information will do nothing but enrich the purchasing division and the County of Kings. It is my desire to give her an official welcome to the County of Kings. Thank you for your time.
Hey.
Well, welcome. Do you have a speech? Let's say it.
I don't know.
Okay. Well, welcome to Kings County. Thank you.
And you keep coming back after payday, so that's good.
The next speaker is Bill Lynch.
Morning, Chief Lynch.
Morning, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board. Just want to give you a little update. You may have seen or heard that was a incident this morning at Ponseca's surplus yard out on Lacey and Highway 43. There was a hazardous situation out there. We have crews on scene right now that are waiting for the hazard to abate itself. It's a small gas cylinder, a 244 cylinder that has a hydrogen chloride in it, and it's doing its natural mitigation. It's dispersing in the air. Because of the moisture in the air, there is a cloud, but we're monitoring the cloud and making sure environmental health and fire and CHP and Caltrans and everybody's out there. So we're taking care of that incident. So I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have it.
Very good. Yeah, we had a person that was in traffic for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
She just showed up.
Fortunately, 198 is impacted, so.
Yeah.
But
That's CHP though. That's not Kings County.
we're working diligently to get it back open, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Catherine Kemp.
Catherine? Good morning.
This is really emotional for me, and I'm sorry. My husband passed away 14 months ago, and he is at the Kings River Cemetery. When I was out there this last week, I was told by another person visiting a gravesite that the cemetery board is planning on making some changes, and the changes were not ones that we necessarily agreed with. And I know they have their own board of 5 people, but I'm hoping that there is communication between the boards. So I was told about the changes, and I went to the cemetery office and asked to receive paperwork telling me what those changes were going to be, and they told me that there weren't any in print because the changes had not occurred yet. And this is what has been told to me by an employee inside the cemetery office. She says that this change is going to occur because it stems from a worker while using a weed eater. Somehow it caught hold of something, threw it 100 yards, and it broke his window. Well, accidents happen. But how many occurrences do we have of those each year? My question is, was this worker trained in OSHA safety records and safety regulations? And then was he following those protocols, or did it get dark, or was he in a hurry and we kind of didn't pay attention to him? They want to put limitations on what we can leave at the gravesite to honor our loved ones. One item was the US flag, which I can't believe they thought of that, but apparently Lemoore has that in place. So they were going to put that you can't have a US flag on your grave except twice a year. An employee who works at the cemetery whose husband was in the military said, you cannot do that. And her voice was heard. So they have now taken that one off the list. I am glad she spoke up. I 100% agree with her. But what about the rest of the community who would like to have their voice heard also? I put potted plants out where my husband is buried. I have ordered a headstone. It is not here yet. And so I put potted plants there to add some greenery and just to have something for him to remember us by. I've been told, no, they will not be allowed. They will be selling us a small scrolled iron little fence that has vases on one or both ends. And if I wish, I can purchase that, and whatever fits inside that vase is what I may now put for my husband. I'm worried about it, number one, because I believe that the scroll work could possibly catch on women's dresses or on slacks, men's pants, and it could be a tripping hazard. It also will be deter from the gravestone that I've spent thousands of dollars on. And now this is my only option. I was told that the board consists of 5 people. but only one person will be making the decision of what goes forward. I understand no Mylar balloons. I don't have a problem with that. But I do have a problem with the fact that someone is telling me how I may honor my husband. They don't know my heritage. They do not know my culture. And they do not know how I wish to worship. I just feel that this is maybe one of those instances where maybe the baby is being thrown out with the bathwater before it's been researched. And I'm hoping that this board can possibly talk to the cemetery board and have an open communication about how the public is upset about this. It is not just for one cemetery. My understanding, whatever passes will be for all three of the cemeteries. I appreciate you listening to me.
Thank you very much. Sorry for your loss.
The next speaker is Jessica Kemp.
Good morning, Jessica. How are you?
Good morning.
Good.
I also wanted to speak about the changes at the cemetery. Growing up, I watched a lot of movies with my dad, a lot of cowboy and Indian movies. And I learned that burial grounds are supposed to be sacred. As a kid, I didn't really grasp the concept of what that meant. And of course, now as an adult and that I've lost a parent, I understand. So now I understand when people say all you have is your traditions and your memories. And so now when I think of my dad, and I go out and I visit the cemetery, I typically bring flowers or a plant. And I never thought that anything that I bring would ever cause harm. I'm just simply wanting to spend time with my dad. And I'm sure all of the other families that go in whatever they choose to bring they're thinking the same thing. They're never thinking that they would harm anyone. They just want to spend time with their loved one. I am sorry if there was some incident that caused a problem or caused pain. However, that was one incident. And how many years? So please, I ask that you talk to the board, that you don't change the regulations, because you're asking families to change the way we love and honor them. And that is sacred.
Thank you. This time I'm going to ask council, do we have contact with the cemetery board? And which cemetery was this again?
Our loved one is at the King River Cemetery, but I was told by the cemetery worker that whatever changes occur will be for all of the Kings County cemeteries. So ones on both sides of 10th Avenue as well as the one out.
Okay, all right. Do we have contact with the cemetery? Do we have authority over that board?
You don't have authority to direct their actions. You do have appointing authority over the members, and we can look into it further. There is some appointing authority, but you don't direct their actions, or you can't veto the actions that they take. They are an independent special district.
Okay. Thank you.
The next speaker is Soledad Mendez.
Morning, Soledad.
Little emotional. I'm here also for the cemetery. I've got the deed that was given to me at the time my son was buried. Mind you, I wasn't in the right state of mind. So I had a niece of mine stand for me so she could be aware of everything that we were being told what we can and cannot do. My son was murdered June 17th of 2016. He ends up at the cemetery. It's been 6 years that I've gone to mourn my son. I take him his flowers, I take him his bird. I take on whatever makes me feel that my puppies knows that he exists. He's still in my life, so he's not present. Now we're being told that the only thing we could put on the gravesites is what fits in the base. On this, it doesn't even mention the base in here. It mentions the candles. I respect that. I don't put candles out there. Balloons, I don't put balloons out there. But in this deed, it does not mention that everything that you put must be on the base. Now, when we bought that spot, my niece, because I called and I asked, and she says, Tia, they said that whatever fits in that brick of square that you bought, because I bought it, it wasn't given to me. She says, whatever fits in that square is what you put for your son. Just no balloons, no glass, and I guess no candle. She says, it can't be so high, you can't go all, but as long as you keep it clean. That's what we've been doing. And I know a lot of the people here, we've cleaned. We've cleaned not just mine, I clean everybody around. All I'm asking is for somebody to help us with this, because this is my son's forever home. And unfortunately, it's my place. It's my place where I go to keep me from going insane. All I ask, if you guys could please help. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry for your loss.
The next speaker is Karen Covarrubias. I apologize in advance if I misspeak.
Morning, Karen.
Hello, everyone. My name is Karen Covarrubias, and I'll be speaking on behalf of the families here and the ones who were unable to make it, including the people who unfortunately passed. For further context, I am the younger sister of Specialist Juan Miguel Covarrubias, who passed away in March 2020, and he is currently buried at the Kings River Cemetery. It has come to my attention that there is a new policy change that is unacceptable to me and the other families here in Hanford. The new policy states that plots are not to be decorated in any way, which include real or artificial flowers, photos, figurines, and even mini flags, as to not cause a disturbance to the land and workers. Now I ask, who are you to tell us, the people who bought the plots, what we can do? We have the right to decorate reasonably and respectfully since we own it forever. I understand that there are times when some people disrespect the rules, but that doesn't mean you should punish all of us for their actions. As of currently, the cemeteries are empty and look gray and gloomy. The decorations help in distracting us from the bodies we buried 6 feet under, and in my culture, death is not the end. We honor their memories as if they were standing beside us. My brother was like a second father to me and a soldier who died for your country. So for him to be treated as if he was nothing is downright disrespectful. And what's even worse is that you mocked us and tried to do this behind our backs, which for someone of high power is a cowardly thing to do. So I highly ask for everyone here and others who are not to please allow us to continue to decorate the graves of our sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, and more people we hold here dear to our hearts. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Tom Doyle.
Morning, Tom.
Hello, how are you today? I'm here today on behalf, well, basically from the effort of Supervisor Robinson, walking the precinct in my neighborhood on Sunday afternoon. I am 52 years old and I've been a lifelong resident of Kings County, but I've been a statistic my whole life. In the 80s, I was part of the teen pregnancy crisis that we all face in our county. We all can look back on. Recently, I was part of the opioid crisis, where I lost not just my family, my home, my job, but my self-respect. And I was homeless and an addict. At that point, I found myself at the homeless shelter, Visalia Rescue Mission. It is there I entered a 1-year program. It was a faith-based 12-step program with intensive therapy and group therapy that was focused on addictive recovery with a goal of restoration. Today, I stand before you as a statistic yet again. 6 years, I have been in recovery and restored to who I was meant to be. God intended me to be here to serve others. Mr. Robinson was serving his community Sunday. He came by and told me that there was a plan to build a homeless shelter, food, soup kitchen, and resource center, basically at the end of my block. Because of my past, I'm well aware of what this will do to my quiet little neighborhood that right now does not suffer from these blights. I know we have a problem, and I'm an example of the solution. And I'm asking you today, please do not bring this problem to the doorstep of my children. I will happily spend every waking moment to help you find a solution. I'm currently unemployed. I want to stay humble and serve others. Let me help you to be successful in building a program that can not just address our homeless needs within our communities, but to build a successful program for restoration. Because until we focus on this problem for what it really is, we will not make a difference. So I want to thank you for hearing me today. And I want to note the integrity of Mr. Rusty Robinson for having the conviction to walk that precinct Sunday. I believe in my heart he was meant to speak to me. I believe in my heart that he was meant to meet me. And I want to thank you for this moment.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for sharing.
The next speaker is Isaiah Gonzalez.
This is one of my neighbors.
Oh,
We have. She will.
thank you, Kyria.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone.
Me presento de este modo humilde para hacer un pequeño llamado a ustedes.
I humbly ask your board today,
Para hacer un pequeño llamado.
request a small request.
Que el vecindario donde yo vivo hasta ahorita, tengo 20 años ahí, es un pueblo que no tiene ley.
The neighborhood I live in, I've lived in the last 20 years. It's a small neighborhood.
Y no tenemos ningún problema.
You don't have any problems there.
Puedo dejar mi garaje abierto
I can leave my garage door open
por 24 horas y no se pierde nada.
for 24 hours and nothing is lost.
No tenemos un problema con no me molesta la gente que quieren llevar,
People don't bother me that want to take things.
pero van a hacer que mi vecindario cambie muchísimo.
You're going to make my neighborhood change drastically.
No tenemos cuerpo policíaco, no tenemos hospitales para emergencias y
We don't have police services. We don't have services for emergency services.
no tenemos recursos. El pueblo tiene un poco de valor ahorita. Si hacen eso, el pueblo de nosotros va a llegar a no tener ningún valor.
The neighborhood is already valued low, and if you do this,
No me molestaría, que hicieran algún edificio grande donde se les pueda tratar, se les pueda ayudar. Hay bastantes filas donde quiera, donde se puede hacer algo grande.
there's large buildings everywhere that you can build something large elsewhere.
Ese es un pequeño espacio así, en vez de hacer un parque para nuestra comunidad,
Instead of making a park for a neighborhood in that small area that's designated
para nuestra gente, nuestros niños, no hay drogas, no hay nada, no sabemos de eso.
for our kids, the park for our kids, there's no drugs there. There's nothing of bad in our neighborhood.
Y hay 3 hijos sin ningún problema de delincuencia.
I have 3 children without any delinquency issues whatsoever.
Y es todo lo que les pido, por favor.
That's all I ask you. Thank you.
Gracias, señor.
The next speaker is Iris Gonzalez.
She's trying to make her way down.
Is it Iris or Inez?
I apologize. If it's Inez,
Yes.
I apologize.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to be here.
No problem.
Yes, that plan about building something for the homeless, that's very commendable. I mean, it's a great idea, but our neighborhood, we have too many small children. We have families that are disabled. And, you know, we can actually take our kids to school right there, walk them to school, you know, but the concern is, as we see around, you know, all the homeless, some of them are really in deep need. Their minds are not well. Just this morning, we saw one right there in front of the cricket office. She was just yelling and talking to herself and everything. To me, that's like a danger, especially, not just for our children, but for our senior citizens and for all of us. I do not reject about having homeless built, but not there. That's, you know, that's too close to home, as someone would say. It's just too close to home. It would be a disaster, I believe, because as you can see, they have no concern. They're not there. And how do we defend ourselves? Are we going to have to build a fence around our properties or what? You know, it shouldn't be that way. We don't have a fence right now. And, oh my God, I still say it is commendable, but not there. Another place would be better. Thank you.
No, thank you.
The next speaker is Elva Mercado or Mercar. I apologize. You just left. Okay, the next speaker would be Josephine Alatorre. She's not here. Luz Mercado. You please.
Morning.
Thank you.
Muy buenos días a todos.
Good morning, everyone.
Yo también estoy por la misma razón que estos compañeros vinieron,
Here for the same reason that we're here.
que no construyan para los jóvenes. No quiero que construyan ahí cerquitas de nuestras casas, porque ahorita los niños, nuestros hijos van a pie a la escuela, están seguros. Y si construyen ahí un ladito de nuestras casas en Armona, los niños no van a estar seguros, ni nosotros los ancianos no vamos a poder estar seguros, porque ellos no respetan. Oh. Oh, okay.
Please don't build in that area. It's an area where there's schools and there's little children running around. I'm here for the same reason, to not build this homeless shelter in that area.
Sí, que no construyan cerquitas de nuestras casas y las escuelas.
Please don't build around the schools and around our homes.
Sí, hay muchos campos ahí en Armona retirados de las escuelas y de las casas. Y por favor les pueden construir a ellos más retirado de nosotros, de la comunidad donde haya niños y escuelas para que ellos caminen safety para la escuela.
There are other properties in Armona that are away from the neighborhood and the schools. So if you can please construct in those areas, it would be safer for the children walking to school.
Y es todo. Si quisiéramos agregar, ¿verdad? Para que no hagan nada de construcción allí, pues, para los vagabundos.
It would be good to have an area to construct for them.
Y es todo. Gracias.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Sarah Hacker.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, members of the Board of Supervisors. I'm honored to be here today, mostly because it's for a really good purpose. I'm here to acknowledge the achievements of my clerical staff, Jacob Sanchez. He had been nominated for a Volunteer of the Year by the Hanford Chamber of Commerce. And this was mostly because of his dedication and work for KCAO, Main Street Hanford, Hanford Chamber Foundation, and the Hanford Planning Commission. I will also add, in the few weeks that I've been here, I have looked to Jacob as somebody who can assist and help me, and he's always been there for me and provided the best service possible. I look forward to seeing Jacob and all of his achievements in the year to come, and I'd ask you to honor his acknowledgement or his achievements.
Congratulations, Jacob.
The next speaker I have is Lisa Shaw. She is online.
Hey, Lisa, you're online. It's all yours.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Coming to you from beautiful downtown Corcoran. I just wanted to take this time to thank you for allowing the time for the American Rescue Plan Act funding to the extended date of February 28th. As all of you know, most of our businesses in Corcoran are small family-owned businesses, and they are swamped during their day-to-day activities with customers, inventory, orders, accounting, etc. And sometimes they just simply wait until the last minute or forget the deadline is coming up. So happily, I talked to Richard Valley this morning, and he mentioned that in between December 18th and this deadline of today, that we had an additional 23 applicants for that funding. And the process went really well, and we're excited to have that money come through thanks to you guys. I've been able to talk to a couple of other counties who are larger than Kings County, and this Board of Supervisors did not provide any funding to their businesses. So we are so fortunate in Corcoran and in Kings County that the Board of Supervisors is looking out for our businesses. And I just wanted to say thank you from Corcoran, the Chamber, and all of the businesses in Corcoran for allowing this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That is all that I have for speaker cards, and it doesn't appear anyone has their hand raised.
Anybody in the audience have anything to say? Seeing none, we'll move on with our agenda. And at this time, we'll go to approval of the minutes. Report out of closed sessions from special meeting from February 6th, 2023.
Yes, on Monday, February 6th, the Board of Supervisors voted to appoint Eric Gonzalez to the position of Director of Finance and directed administration to make Mr. Gonzalez a conditional offer. Mr. Gonzalez thereafter accepted the conditional offer. His appointment will be confirmed and his compensation set today in open session at via a regular agenda item.
Thank you. We don't have to, we just report out, right? So we'll go to item B, report out of closed session from regular meeting on February 7th, 2023.
There are no items to report from that meeting.
Approval of the minutes from special meeting February 6th, 2023.
So move. Second.
Moved by Supervisor Fagundes, second by Supervisor Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Item passes 4 in favor, 1 absent. Next item will be approval of the minutes from regular meeting February 7th, 2023.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I have a correction to make. I did not attend a meeting on Operation Blue Light. I wish I had. I support the project, but I did not attend the meeting.
Moved by Supervisor Fagundes, second by
Neves,
Supervisor
second.
Neves. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar can be acted on one motion, or if a board member would like to choose one item and pull from the agenda, they can do so. It's your pleasure.
Can you read them for me, Chair? I didn't
Yeah.
have a chance to, could you go through that? In spite of that, I'd move, that we accept the consent calendar as presented.
Moved by Supervisor Neves, second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes. All 4 in favor, 1 absent. All items have been passed on the consent calendar. We'll move on now to regular agenda items. And we move on to the Community Development Agency, and we have Chuck Kinney or Alex? Alex Hernandez. Morning, Alex. How are you today?
Doing well, how are you?
Good.
So good morning, everyone. Before you this morning, I have a request to withdraw from CDBG CV2 and 3 funding. Back in September 23rd, 2021, the county was awarded a grant in the amount of $498,890 for economic development microenterprise assistance, which are businesses of 5 or fewer employees, including the business owner who were impacted due to COVID. With assistance from Kings County Job Training Office and Kings Economic Development, a notice of funding availability was released on October 3rd, 2022. 2 different question and answer webinars were held. An English webinar was held on October 11th, 2022, and a Spanish webinar was held on October 13th, 2022. So the promotion of the grant occurred via the Kings County website, a press release to the Hanford Sentinel, presented to various partners in meetings, the Kings County Job Training Office and Kings Economic Development social media sites, and an email blast to over 700 businesses. So the county began accepting applications via the Kings County website on November 1st, 2020. And despite the various marketing efforts due to the stringent requirements of CDBG, many businesses chose to pursue other funding sources. Some of those stringent CDBG requirements included that the business must have been established prior to March 15, 2020. The business must be a qualifying microenterprise assistance with 5 full-time employees, including the owner. The business must be legally established in the unincorporated areas of Kings County. They must provide a copy of the zoning permit or written explanation as why they don't have one. The business owner must maintain a household income at or below the 80% of the area median income. The business must demonstrate reduction in at least 10% revenue over the past 2 years. The business is not a nonprofit organization. It does not have any active code enforcement violations. It has not received duplication of benefits. So if they receive funding through other funding sources, unfortunately, it would be disqualified from CDBG. And that the business had copies of receipts or invoices showing expenditures, and that they had not filed bankruptcy in the last 3 years, and they were not in the cannabis industry. So HCD has made staff aware of their likely release of an upcoming CDBG NOFA. If the county chooses not to withdraw from this grant and less than 50% of the funds are expended at the time the new grant application is due, then the county will not be eligible to apply for the new grant. If funds are not fully expended prior to the expenditure deadline of September 23rd, 2023, Kings County could face point deductions on future CDBG applications. So in order for Kings County to prevent points being deducted from future applications, and since there was a lack of interest in the microenterprise assistance program, staff recommends that the board authorize the Community Development Agency Director to sign the attached CDBG CV program withdrawal form, withdrawing agreement number 20-CDBG CV2300155 prior to the end of business of February 28th, 2023, without any penalty to future applications.
Thank you, Alex. Any questions or comments? I think we got all we can out of this program, and it was helpful to the businesses that needed it, and we had a little bit of money left over, so I think it's time.
Move for approval.
Moved by Supervisor Fagundes. Second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
That was a good program. I'm glad we were able to do that and help people that were in need. Next item will be Fire Department. Chief Litch. Morning.
Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, here this morning with an item that's near and dear to the fire department's heart, acceptance of pass-through funding from Cal OES. In early 2022, the fire department was contacted by Rudy Salas's office regarding some community funding that was available to provide purchase of equipment for the fire department. So working with our local union 3747, the fire department, we developed a proposal that included the replacement of 2 fire apparatus, one for Corcoran, one for Avenel. The reason those communities were chosen because they have some of our oldest apparatus. So I'm happy to announce that just late last month, Cal OES contacted us and said that the funding was available. It had gone through the budget and was appropriated. And I'm here this morning to ask you to approve the acceptance of the pass-through funding from Cal OES. Authorize myself, the fire chief, to sign the documentation related to the funding award and then adopt the budget change, which requires a 4/5 vote. I'm not groveling.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments?
And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Moved by Supervisor Robinson, second by Supervisor Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
So item passes 4 in
Thank
favor,
you.
1 absent. And when can we expect the new fire trucks?
About 366 days.
Sometime in 2024-ish.
Shortages of chips and all that stuff.
Well, thank you. Okay, the next item is item C. We are going to pull that item from the agenda at this time, and we're going to move on to item D, which is Public Health Department, and we have Rosemary Rom or Heather Silva. Rosemary. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Thank you. This morning I'm going to introduce Zarina Marasegan. She's going to be introducing the resolution that we're presenting.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Zarina Marasegan, Nursing Division Manager. I'm happy to stand before you today representing our local oral health program in public health to announce February 2023 as National Children's Dental Health Month in Kings County. After the proclamation, we are fortunate to have Dr. Roblin Nieblas, who will say a few words. One of the most prevalent chronic diseases of childhood is tooth decay, which can lead to cavities. The California Department of Public Health reports that in the Central Valley, 75.9% of children in the 3rd grade have untreated cavities. Cavities can cause pain and infection that can affect eating, speaking, playing, and learning skills. Oral health problems often lead to children missing school and receiving lower grades. Cavities are preventable by practicing good oral health. This year's theme is Brush, Floss, and Smile. The Kings County Local Oral Health Program encourages residents to continue developing good habits, such as brushing your teeth 2 times a day for at least 2 minutes, flossing daily to clean between your teeth, limiting sugary beverages, and seeing your dentist at least twice a year. Developing good oral health habits at an early age helps children get a good start on a lifetime of healthy teeth and gums. The Kings County Department of Public Health is asking the board today to adopt a resolution proclaiming February 2023 as National Children's Dental Health Month in Kings County. Now, I would like to introduce Dr. Roblin Nieblas.
Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you for the introduction. My name is Roblin Nieblas. I'm currently the dental director at Aria Community Health Center, and I am a general dentist practicing there right now. I think this is a great thing that we're doing, focusing on prevention of dental caries, or more known as dental decay in children. And I support this proclamation. One of the most important things is building healthy oral habits at an early age. So elementary school age children are sponges. They learn everything their teacher tells them, what their parents tell them, and oftentimes, they'll even repeat it to their parents. So it's really important to build this habit when they're young. So at the elementary school age, children have that manual dexterity. They can learn how to brush their teeth themselves, brushing twice a day. But it's more than that. We have to show kids how to brush, make sure they're doing it properly. And it's more than just brushing teeth. Something we do need to emphasize with preventing dental decay is diet. We all know the obvious things: sweets, candy, sodas. Everyone tells you they're bad for your teeth, but there are some drinks that tend to be overlooked. So for example, Gatorade, apple juice, even orange juice, or a Starbucks Frappuccino especially, those are essentially soda in disguise. A lot of people don't realize how much soda is too much. For example, I'll ask patients, so are you a fan of sweets? Do you drink soda? Oh yeah, not too much. Okay, how often do you drink soda? In the afternoon after my lunch and then after dinner. Well, that's quite a bit of soda. If you look at the amount of sugar on the back, a lot of people don't look at that. So, and once you get used to drinking that every day, it's hard to stop. So it's very important to start this early, reinforce this with children, but not just the children, their parents, their teachers. Early education is very important. So I know we have some school programs. They place sealants for the kids. They, apply fluoride. Some of my medical offices have started giving fluoride drops, fluoride varnish. So that's a great start. But they need to have a dental home and visit a dentist. Twice a year is the minimum, actually. I have a lot of children I see every 3 months because they're really high risk. And sometimes you really have to keep seeing them, keep repeating them, tell the kids, tell mom and dad. I used to drink soda every day when I was a kid, and I did not know how bad it was. So I was like my young patients, drinking one after lunch, one after dinner, no water. Well, unfortunately, I lost some of my permanent teeth at a young age, so I'm missing my first molars. I see a lot of this working in public health, and a lot of it does just come from lack of knowledge, lack of education for something that's completely preventable. Once you're older, it's a lot harder to fix, especially when you lose those teeth young. Your jaw develops a different way. It's a lot more difficult. So I've been working in Kings County. I've worked at all the ARIA locations, Hanford, Stratford, and Avenal. I see a lot of the same thing, a lot of children with early childhood decay, as early as the age of 2. Now, when a kid is 2 years old, can you imagine giving them a shot in their mouth to get dental anesthetic and do treatment? A lot of adults won't even do that. So it becomes really challenging when kids are this young. They need general anesthesia, which we all know has a risk associated in itself. A lot of parents don't want to put their kids under general anesthetic. Some kids, so from the ages of 2, as young as possible, when the first teeth come out, we need to educate parents to take their kids to the dentist and build healthy habits from the beginning. I've seen a 5-year-old child with cavities on all of his teeth. Luckily, no adult teeth yet, so it's still early. But I asked the parent, I'm like, oh, okay, so is your son a fan of sweets? And she's like, oh, yeah, he eats a Hershey's chocolate every day and buys it at the store. So oh, okay, that's interesting. Where does he get it? So she gives him some money, goes to the store, buys a candy bar every day. So these are very easily preventable things that we can talk to kids about, talk to their families about. So the main thing is prevention is really big. Once the caries get big, kid has a dental infection, they're in pain, parent comes in, I see parents come into my office, oh, my kid's in pain, can you help me? Well, they're 6 years old, they're really young, they're scared, and then they're frustrated because we can't do anything for them. We have to have them see a pediatric dentist. And out here, our main office, you might have driven by We Dental or seen We Dental downtown, they're very busy. Sometimes children have to wait to be seen for a month or 2. And by that point, their teeth have decayed even more. So we really want to avoid traumatic dental experiences in youth by preventing them from getting severe caries to begin with. So regular visits. I've talked to a lot of adult patients who are scared, anxious, going to the dentist. And they often tell me the same thing. I had a terrible experience when I was a kid. I've been scared of the dentist ever since. And that's something we want to prevent. So early prevention and education is crucial for ensuring good oral health. Thank you.
No, thank you very much. I feel like I gotta brush my teeth right now. I know I did this morning, but I think I might be a little lax on it.
Those 2 donuts.
Nah, no donuts today. We did good. Any questions or comments?
So move, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Neves, second by Supervisor Fagundes. All in favor? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Okay, 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you very much. It's good to be reminded, even as an adult, you need to remind yourself that you need to brush your teeth at least 2 times a day. That doesn't mean you can't brush it 3 times, but anytime after a meal. I know no one likes going to the dentist. Okay.
Just a quick comment. My wife will appreciate that. Every day at our house about 7 o'clock, we have a fight about brushing our teeth. I have a 6.5-year-old. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on now. Public Health Department will have an update on the local emergency for COVID. Rosemary.
Good morning. Thank you, Vice Chair. Supervisors, Rosemary Rand, Department of Public Health, here today to provide an update on COVID, provide some end of the state of emergency information, and updates on seasonal flu and RSV. The spread of COVID-19 continues to decrease across the country and the county. Since my last report on January 24th, there have been 341 cases. The prior report was 746 cases. Kings County is in the low green community level per CDC and has been for the last 4 weeks. Local hospitalizations have decreased since my last report. There are only 4 hospitalized cases, in which 2 were Kings County residents. The daily average for the past 4 weeks has been 4.5. Effective March 1st, so tomorrow, the Health Department will be transitioning our Hanford COVID testing services to United Health Centers in Hanford, down the street on Mall Drive. Information is available on our website, and a press release is being planned to be sent out today. With the California state of emergency ending today, effective tomorrow, March 1st, CDPH and local health departments will not be offering or performing PCR testing, so the actual nasopharyngeal PCR testing. At-home antigen kits will be available at our mobile clinic locations and at the United Health Center locations. Rapid antigen at-home test kits are an effective way to quickly identify positive results of COVID. If an individual needs a PCR test, we're recommending they set up appointments with their medical providers or visit an urgent care, doctor's offices, clinics, as well as United Health Centers and others ARIA are performing PCR testing as indicated by a doctor's order. Vaccinations are continuing at the health department, and residents can get vaccinations at local pharmacies, several pop-up clinics around the county, and the current schedule is on the website. We continue to see individuals and families coming in for their initial COVID series and the bivalent boosters, so we're still having people come in. So today is the last day of California's state of emergency. I think a lot of people are feeling glad, but we know that COVID's still here. It's a few weeks shy of the 3-year mark since the initial stay-at-home order was issued. The federal state of emergency is scheduled to end April 11th of this year, although that may be shortened or extended. The California Department of Public Health SMARTER, remember SMARTER standing for shots, masks, awareness, readiness, testing, education, and treatment, or RX. The plan will continue as we move into an endemic phase, recognizing that COVID is here and we'll need to navigate the case numbers, surges, and variants as they emerge. I'm going to give you some highlights just as numbers, and this information is available if you'd like it. Since March 2020, Kings County has had a total of 67,230 cases of COVID. Among counties in California, Kings had the second highest case rate with 42,974 total cases per 100,000 residents. Since March of 2020, Kings County has had 478 confirmed COVID deaths. Among counties in California, Kings had the 13th highest death rate with 306 total deaths per 100,000 residents. Since 2020, Kings County has collected 869,302 tests, averaging over 5 tests per resident. Kings had the 4th highest test rate, collecting 172 tests per 100,000 residents per day. During the Omicron surge last January, KCDPH alone was testing 5,200 people per week. Over 216,000 vaccines have been administered, and over 80,000 residents have received a vaccine. And as of today, 12% of eligible Kings County residents have received the bivalent booster. So the data on COVID is available on our website. And as always, we remind everybody, stay home when you're sick, perform a rapid antigen test if you're experiencing COVID-like symptoms, get vaccinated or boosted if you've not yet. Masks are still required in healthcare settings and skilled nursing facilities, and that I don't anticipate that changing, even with the drop of the emergency. They're still saying that they're still required. So just let you know about that. As for influenza, positive influenza specimens in the county return to the summer baseline and activity remains minimal. As for RSV, the activity continues to decrease. RSV test positivity across the labs this week was 2.9%, which is lower than the week before at 3.3. This concludes my report, and with the case numbers decreasing for COVID, flu, and RSV, as well as the emergency ending, I'd like to ask the board's approval that the department move to an alert of any significant case numbers and changes to be done at unscheduled appearances unless there's other concerns. And I'm available for any questions.
And don't forget the brush.
And don't forget to brush your teeth. Well, we'll be moving on.
Wear
to
a mask, you
toothbrush,
still have to brush your teeth.
especially.
Well, thank you. It's information only. And if you have cases come up, we got a warrant for concern, come back to us.
Yeah, we'll let you know if it starts again. I mean, obviously it hasn't gone away and the variants are, although they keep cycling and it seems to be less infectious or less detrimental to our health with the vaccines.
And if you never got it, do we get an award?
I don't know. Hope
That's
so.
the award, not.
They're going to study you, find out why.
Give you a new toothbrush.
So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next we'll have administration, and we have quite a few items here today. We'll start off with the first one, and
Point of order, Vice Chairman, we do have a public hearing that was noticed for 10 a.m. Do you want to just move along with the agenda as it is?
we
or
can do a public hearing, yeah.
Apologize to
Yeah,
administration.
public hearing, and it's going to be 10 a.m. It is now 10:08, and this is County Council Department, Diane Freeman, and Ag Department, Jimmy Hook. No,
Yes.
we have a study session for Dominic, but we'll do the public hearing first.
Correct, since it was publicized.
All right, then I will go ahead and introduce the item. I'm here before you today to propose an amendment to the Kings County Ordinance number 696 on behalf of the Industrial Hemp Policy Work Group. Ordinance number 696 regulates industrial hemp cultivation in Kings County. The ordinance was originally developed and then enacted by the board in October 2020 to preserve the public peace, health, safety, and welfare within the county. The county has now experienced 2 industrial hemp growing seasons under the ordinance. During that time, it's become evident to the Hemp Policy Work Group that industrial hemp cultivated for fiber and oilseed under specific cultural practices does not pose the same concerns as industrial hemp grown for cannabinoids or flower. That's a tough word to say. Anyways, cultivars grown for cannabinoids or flower are indistinguishable from high THC cannabis, which originally led to the concerns prompting Ordinance 696. The proposed revision to the ordinance, which is before you, will ease requirements on industrial hemp cultivation for fiber and oilseed, allowing continued promotion of new crops within the county, while preserving the protections adopted in the original ordinance to avoid harm to the welfare of residents, public safety issues, and threats to the safety and viability of nearby crops. Accordingly, it's recommended that the board introduce the proposed ordinance, waive its first reading, hold a public hearing, and find that the adoption of the ordinance is exempt from CEQA review. Ag Commissioner Jimmy Hook and I are both here today to respond to any questions that you may have.
Any questions or comments? Any questions from the audience? This time, we'll go ahead and do we start the public hearing or do waive the first reading?
Go ahead and introduce the ordinance, waive the first reading, and then start the public hearing.
So move, Mr. Chair.
At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. Any questions or comments from the public?
I have no written correspondence, and I'm not sure if anyone in the audience is here for this.
There's no question or comments. We'll close public hearing and move forward. Find out to see who wants to adopt this new policy.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Neves, second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboen,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
4 in favor, 1 absent. So we'll come back in 30 days.
We'll actually be coming back next week for a second reading and adoption.
Okay, thank you very much.
Jimmy's all dressed up. Why don't you have him say something? Poor guy's here, all dressed up.
Just say thank
I
you.
have to say good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. Thank you. This has been an interesting venture going into hemp, and I know when it all started, there's a lot of different feelings surrounding it. So it's kind of interesting to see how it's evolved, and it'll be good to see this venture into fiber and oil or seed crops.
Yeah, I think a lot of uncertainty at first. No one really knew what we are going to get. With too many rumors out there and
Yeah.
proven to be not that big of a problem. So
Yeah, I think with this type of cultivation, we won't see the issues that we saw with the CBD or cannabinoids as.
and I think the growers here that made it in the Guinness World Book Records, right?
26 and some feet or something like that.
Very cool.
Yep, perfect. Thank you.
Good
Appreciate it.
job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce, for doing that.
Okay, thank you. Now, you want to do the study session now? No?
We can go back to the regular agenda. That would
Sorry,
be
Dominic.
appreciated.
You're here all day.
You're here for the
He was
duration.
standing up, thought he would get a freebie. Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to administration. And who's going to start? Kyria, good morning.
Good morning, board members. Kyria Martinez, Assistant CAO Administration. In early 2021, the House and Senate announced the return of congressional earmarks. This practice allows lawmakers to secure funding for key projects in their home state districts via the federal appropriation process. Currently, we're entering into year 3 of federal earmarking potential requests, and administration has received guidance from the House and Senate Appropriation Committees, and staff would like to have the 2024 projects vetted and brought forward to your board for consideration. County administration reached out to all department heads and received 2 requests, which are being presented today. There are 2 departments who submitted. The way we'll go in order is we'll start with Human Services Agency and then Public Health and Behavioral Health, and then I will conclude the presentation.
Okay, thank you.
I will now turn it over to Wendy Osikoffo from Human Services Agency.
Good morning, Wendy.
Busy agenda today. I just want to give a little bit of background about why I brought this proposal forward, and then I'm actually going to ask Jeff Garner from KCO. He's got a presentation, give you a little bit better idea of what's actually being proposed. This county developed the Kings County Homeless Collaborative in 2019 to develop a more integrated way for us to approach the issue of homelessness in this community. And so on that collaborative, this county board is represented by Supervisor Neves. We also have representatives from various city governments. Many of the department heads in this county participate in that homeless collaborative. We also have nonprofits and service providers participating as well. And so in the first year, they did a gaps and needs analysis and identified 3 priority areas to focus on, one of which was a low barrier shelter. We've had a subcommittee working over the years, exploring property, looking for financial resources to stand up a shelter. We haven't landed on anything in terms of a location yet. I know there was some concerns expressed from Armona this morning. What I'm really bringing forward is really the concept and the proposal that Jeff Garner and KCO have put together. We are yet to land on a final location. With the opportunity that for earmark brought forward, it really seemed like we're going to need to hobble together a lot of financial resources to stand this up. So I didn't want to miss this opportunity to kind of get our foot in the door on an earmark. My understanding is Tulare County was able to get a federal earmark, and that's helped them stand up some phases of their shelter. While the collaboratives existed and while we've been kind of working on this effort, we have also had Project Room Key in existence, and that was really in response to COVID-19. We've been operating out of 2 hotels, but it's the closest thing to a low barrier shelter we've really ever had in this community. And the fundings come from FEMA. That has allowed us to house an average, over this past 3 years, an average of about 88 at kind of our peak. That has been, our averages have been coming down because the project is closing out. And we've learned some things there. We've had some successes there because we've had a place to shelter folks so we could engage, secure housing for them, get them access to behavioral health support. And so we've had some positive outcomes. I want to share a little bit of data there. Before I jump into the data, though, I just want to share those projects are coming to an end because the funding is coming to an end. So I'm about to interchange them. The Stardust Hotel has operated as a shelter. We've had 22 rooms there. It was also purchased as a Project Home Key with the intent of it being converted to studio apartments. We are at the final phase of that, and so construction on phase 2 is beginning. And so we stopped a few months ago admitting new shelter residents and transitioned current shelter residents to the other location, Holiday Lodge, so that we had the ability to move into the construction phase. So that site is closed down as a PRK site at this point. Holiday Lodge is still operating. We'll continue to operate for a few more months. But as our public health director just indicated, the public health emergency is ended, and so is our access to FEMA, which has been funding this shelter. So that too will be ratcheted down as our other Project Home Key site goes live and we get some of those housing units available within the next few months. That's a significant impact. So I think our urgency around, like, we really need to get something moving on a low barrier shelter in this community. That's, so now I want to get into the data. So to give you a little context for that, we currently have
In just this, in 2022 alone, we sheltered 136 individuals at those sites. And we were able to find permanent housing for 111 households. And that's 345 individuals. They weren't all housed at PRK. We have other housing programs as well that should give you a sense of the need and the amount of work happening to get people into permanent housing. I'm really proud of that work, but all that said, we have a wait list of 195 households and 300 individuals. We're talking kids and partners. So we're making a dent, but the need is still there. Our recent point in time count for Kings County, I sort of wanted to highlight a couple pieces of data, just speaking to the overall need. In 2018, we had 175 folks that were homeless. In 2020, that grew to 305. That's a 74% increase just over a couple of years. But in 2022, we were at 313. So we basically stayed flat. That's a 2% increase. And I think a lot of that is due to these programs and these efforts that we have in place. What's a little bit more remarkable is that in 2018, the chronically homeless were 50. In 2020, the chronically homeless grew to 111. That's a 122% increase during a time period where we had no type of sheltering facility. During the years that we did, 2020 to 2022, that reduced down to 69, which is a 61% increase. So we're having an impact. We know that we're having some success there. And while there are folks that have chose not to be sheltered, chose to return to the streets, we've had a lot of success. We are working with some first-time homeless folks. We are working with 39% of the population having a disability. We are working with 6% that are veterans and 27% that are over 55. So I just, there's a portion, I think, of the homeless population that's a little bit unseen and not the stereotype. And I wanted to share some of that data just to express why I think this is an important project for this community. But I do want to stop talking and hand this over to Jeff so he can share his proposal.
Thank you. Ron, Jeff.
Good morning, supervisors. Good morning, staff. Good morning, public. My name is Jeff Garner, Executive Director of Kings Community Action Organization, a lifelong resident here in Kings County as well. Definitely is an honor to be part or to be considered for this. Been working very closely with Wendy and her team, as well as the Kings County Homeless Collaborative. And so we really have struck gold with this concept, and we wanted to share it with the Board of Supervisors here today and hopefully be considered as under consideration for a federal earmark. I do have with you behind, or I guess over here too, a presentation that I wanted to kind of walk everyone through in terms of what we are looking to do. And really our emphasis at this time is the project concept is priority 1, site is priority 2. We really believe in this concept, and so that's what we're really wanting to share with you here today. We are wanting to talk sites as well, but it's really based on the concept. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So the project concept is this joint use facility that is geared around the community needs here in Kings County. All of our decisions at KCAO are based on the needs of the community. We assess the needs, we survey, we do a lot of different ways, things to see where the needs are, not only now, but in the future. And right at this given time, we have seen an explosion of food, the need for food resources in our community, which then means that our food bank operations needs to expand, needs to change. So this project concept brings forward a combined joint use of a new food bank, a new centralized kitchen, and a housing navigation center, which would also feature a low barrier shelter. But for us, the ball started to roll with the idea of needing a new food bank here in Kings County. Our food bank is currently located in the Parks and Recs department for the city of Lemoore, the old Candlewick factory. It's about 12,000 square feet. We're tucked away in the back corner there. At the time, we thought that this would be a good size for us for the long term, but we have outgrown that location. And as we are seeing more needs in the community when it comes to food resources, we need a larger space. Plus, we are renting from the city of Lemoore. They have been a great landlord for us, but they are in need of space as well. And so they've been very generous with their reminders that they would be happy to see us leave when that time comes. We do have a lease that is set to expire, I believe, in 2031, 2032. So we do have some time, but we know with any time you're looking for this size of property, every single day is important. So first and foremost, our food bank is a huge priority. We are looking to have the space that, again, not only serves today's population, but in the future. We do experience a high level of food insecurity in Kings County. You can see some of the numbers there. As we rank versus the state and the national average, we are above. We have a higher food insecurity rate. Our food insecurity rate right now is 13.4%. Our child food insecurity rate is 20.1%. We are seeing more seniors coming for our food resources. We are seeing more working families come to our food resources. And we see it in the grocery stores. Food costs have gone up by 10% in the last year. And so this is a program that dramatically helps individuals. And I do want to distinguish between a food bank and a food pantry. So a lot of folks will think like, oh, when they come to our food bank, it really opens up their eyes as to what it is. Really think about Amazon and these huge warehouses. That's how our food bank operates. We bring in semi-trucks of food. We send out semi-trucks of food to local food pantries in Kings County. And so we need a big warehouse space that we can store cold and dry food and bring it in large quantities, which helps us keep our costs down and help serve a larger population. So that's what we need for a food bank. We also need a centralized kitchen. We operate 14 preschool locations throughout Kings County, and all of those use these little tiny kitchenettes to prepare their meals. And we need to get with the times and have a more efficient way of delivering and preparing our meals. So a centralized kitchen is absolutely needed for us too. But also there's a need for a centralized kitchen in our community when it comes to preparing meals for Meals on Wheels, or other local shelters in the community, doing maybe a senior meal program. So there is a need for that as well. And so this would be part of the project concept. And last but not least is the need for shelter services. Wendy did a great job going over those numbers. And so when this concept rolled out, we were first thinking food bank and a centralized kitchen. Then we started to see this momentum and this community need for a low barrier shelter. So our approach was, instead of taking on two different sites, two different construction projects, it makes sense to focus on economy of scale and bringing this under one roof, which would not only help save money, but also help with the overall management. And I feel the public good when it comes to operating this type of program. We can go to the next slide, please. So the potential concept is to try to construct a 65,000 square foot warehouse. We have looked around the community to see if there's a warehouse at that size, and we have not found anything that is available for us to either buy or lease. We would prefer to buy, but there isn't anything out there. So we went down the path of needing to construct. Of that 65,000 square feet, about 75% of it would be dedicated for the food bank and the centralized kitchen, which we would continue to operate, which right now we serve about 12,000 individuals a month. And as I stated earlier, the need for food resources continues to grow. And then about 25%, 24% of that space would then be utilized as an emergency shelter, all under one roof, but also as a housing navigation center, where we would focus on intensive care for these individuals who are seeking shelter assistance, that we get them connected to a housing plan. And our goal, our pursuit of strong outcomes would be to get them into permanent and stable housing in our community. In order to do that, we need to have ancillary services that can be there on site. So the space would be big enough to bring in behavioral health, public health, direct medical care, as well as services that the homeless population would also need to access, like mail service, phone service, meeting with a licensed clinical therapist. So there will be aspects to this program that is intended to help build these individuals back up and have them find safe and stable and reliable housing. And then there'll also be that navigation center, which I just went over there. The next, so this is just to give somewhat of a visual as to what this could look like. So you can see there, the biggest footprint would be the food bank, which would be for cold and dry storage of food. Right now, we distribute over 2 million pounds of food. And that's out of a 12,000 square foot food bank. So with a larger footprint, we would be able to distribute more food in our community. We'd also have office space. You see there a centralized kitchen, which would also serve as a kitchen to serve those individuals who are using the facility for the low barrier shelter. It would be a congregate shelter. So there would be a dormitory style where you would have men that would be segregated, women that would be segregated. You would have family rooms as well. But we did, as this concept is evolving, we're starting to come to the realization that maybe even family units would probably be better placed at our current shelter, the Barbara Seville shelter, or using motel vouchers. But that is a piece of the concept that we're still working on. We did take a tour of the shelter in San Luis Obispo. We brought our board of directors. We brought individuals from the city of Hanford, city council members. And this is the style that they use. They don't have a food bank there, but they do have a centralized kitchen, and they have a congregate shelter. They house about 100 or have 100 beds for individuals who are seeking shelter services. Our proposal would be close to 150 beds. I don't know if all 150 beds will be used, but the idea is that there would be enough room to where if law enforcement or if the individuals themselves need to be placed at a shelter, there would be enough beds for those individuals. Most shelters are set up to have more men beds than women beds, so we would set up our shelter or the component of the shelter to align with the demographics of our county. There will also be a locker room style restroom and showers. There also will be kennels. We've learned that the 3 Ps when it comes to shelter services are people, possessions, and pets. And so we have to make sure that we have space for individuals who do have animals, that they can house those as well. So it really is this innovative concept that we're trying to develop that would have everything under one community roof, with a larger presence being the food bank. And that really is what we would be focusing on, and having enough room to operate a low barrier shelter. We can go to the next slide, please. So the potential concept, we do want to focus, as I mentioned before, on building these individuals back up. Everyone will be, as we have seen, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to serving the homeless population, but we believe that we can do that. We have great success with our Barbara Seville shelter that we've been operating since 1983. The Sunrise Apartments, Stardust, that we've been operating the last couple of years. We do have a good track record of helping people and changing lives. So we do want to have a job training program that instills motivation, hopefully, for these individuals who are seeking shelter services to be part of that overall community at that location. So they would take on job training skills that would help with kitchen support, meal preparation, warehousing, maintenance, landscaping, as we feel that would be part of their therapy of recovery, but also give them those job skills where hopefully they can return back to the work environment and be productive in our community. We also feel like having a centralized location instead of having 3 or 4 different locations, one for the kitchen, one for the shelter, one for the food bank. Instead of spreading out our efforts, it is better for us to be under one roof. It does create the synergy of support. It does provide better security, better oversight. It does help to keep costs down. So we feel by having this one large campus of service, it will be better suited for the individuals we're serving and better for our community. And then we'd also feel like this is an innovative approach. There is no, this concept, we've checked it out throughout the state. did a little bit of research nationally. We haven't found something that looks like this. We've found, these low barrier shelters that might have a centralized kitchen or might have, office space, but we've not seen something that has a food bank, that has a centralized kitchen and a shelter under one roof. So we feel like with that innovation, it will help to attract additional funding from private foundations, donors, community partners here in our community. So we feel like that's a good selling point as well. And lastly, it is the synergy. And we do feel like when we have an opportunity to bring collaborations together, the faith-based community, community-based organizations, county services, city services, it does create an opportunity for us to get a bigger bang for our buck. In terms of locations, which we can go to the next slide. So we can go one more slide and then we'll come back to this. Let me talk about the property side of things. So this property here that's highlighted in green, that's my highlight. So yes, it looks like a third grader did that. So that is mine. This is a property that we bought in August of 2022. We bought it with funding from KCAO. It is located in Armona. When we had bought this property in August, our intentions was to make this our food bank and centralized kitchen. But as we brainstormed on this concept, and instead of developing two different properties, we thought this is a big enough piece of property, 5.6 acres, to do it all on one piece of property. But this isn't where we're putting all of our eggs at. This isn't the basket that we're doing that. We are still working with the city of Hanford to find locations that might be more suitable for this type of project. What we've shared with the city of Hanford is we want this concept to go with that property. We want a big enough piece of property that we can do all of those together. So we had recommended this site really as a way to show our commitment to transforming and helping in this area when it comes to shelter services, when it comes to food banking and a centralized kitchen. We just don't want to be on the sidelines talking about it. We wanted to put something forward in a tangible way that at least keeps the discussion going. And so this is why that property was recognized. But again, we are looking at other properties that might be better suited for us. So if we can go back to the estimated cost, you can see there that right now we are estimating that $13 to $16 million to build out a 65,000 square foot warehouse, roughly about $240 a square foot. We have secured money already through our general funds at KCAO, as well as a state grant of $1.4 million. We also have, I mentioned, purchased the property in Armona. We will be seeking funding with the city of Hanford, as well as the state and federal government, as well as these earmark opportunities. It does seem like right now we have to piece together a puzzle. There will not be this one grant or funding opportunity that will come down at $15, $16 million. So we will have to piece this together. And so that's the strategy that we're taking. Now that's on the construction side. Operating costs, we are estimating $1.2 to $1.5 million to operate the location per year. And we would be able to use our current operating funds that we have for the food bank, our Head Start Child Development Centers, as well as shelter services. So we would have a major contribution to the operating costs, but we would need additional funding as well from local, state, and federal resources to do that. And then we can go back ahead. I believe that's the end of the presentation. We can do one more, please. Yes. So love to answer any questions. Definitely would love to get feedback. We have met with Congressman David Valadao on this project regarding the food bank side of it. And we have met with Senator Melissa Hurtado and her staff about the full project concept. And it has been encouraging to get their support or their, I guess, lack of hesitation in moving forward. So that has been really encouraging to have that. Any questions?
Any questions or comments? Rusty? Supervisor Robinson.
Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
First and foremost, thank you for all of your efforts, and they're much appreciated. And Wendy, thank you for your efforts as well. The collaboration with the homeless agency is also very helpful. I have a number of concerns, as you might expect. We heard some of the citizens earlier today speak for their, the consideration of the project. The ones that spoke today were all opposed. I spent Sunday in Armona canvassing. I think I went to about 60 homes, all the homes that are right next to the proposed project. It's about split down the middle, to be fair. Half of the people are opposed, and many of those are vehemently opposed. The concerns I have are many for this site. Okay. The overall project, I'm in favor of a shelter overall. The size of that shelter, we start to get into some discussions because lately we just got back from Washington, D.C., where we were speaking with supervisors. I just got back from Sacramento speaking to supervisors. And what I find is a lot of times the law of unintended consequences, which are you need one to be able to comply with the Boise situation so the sheriff can do his job properly. However, if you make it nice, if you make it too nice, more of a Club Med approach, the problem is they often have doubled their homeless population. I just spoke to the supervisor in Butte, Peter. I know him. I don't know his last name. And he was just explaining after Butte had a project, they went and polled the residents in the community, and 80% of them weren't from Butte County. Now, all I'm saying is, yes, we need something. It has to be closely considered, or we may double our homeless population from other areas. Those details can probably be worked out. As for Armona, unless I were to have assurances that this project will not go in Armona, I can't support the project. For starters, Armona has a population of 4,521 people in the 2020 census. Hanford has a population roughly of 55,000 people. You would instantly make, because that project's 150 to 200 people in the shelter, you'd instantly make 4% of all of Armona's residents homeless, right? Now, I work in Fresno at River Park. After the homeless community was disbanded by the Poverello House on the railroad tracks, they came to my area. So I deal with them almost daily. A couple times a week, they'll come into my store, and often we call. And one trouble is there's trash constantly that nobody's willing to pick up. And another concern is the safety. My staff is afraid frequently, particularly when they come in the store. One problem is we do contact law enforcement, but law enforcement takes too long to respond. So back to Armona, many of the people are fearful of this project being right next door because the governor has allowed the homeless to sleep on the sidewalk from sundown to sunup. And typically, my experience, at least in Fresno, is law enforcement is unwilling during the day to enforce the ingress-egress concept that the sidewalk was designed for. So what'll happen is they'll call the sheriff if someone's in their yard, and the sheriff will remove them. But the problem is they're only removed up until about the sidewalk. And then at that point, there's not much can be done. So those are my concerns with Armona. I know that because you and I have had a couple of discussions, and once again, I think it's a really healthy dialogue. There are some other sites that we're talking about. But my concern is in this document, the only address that's cited is 11486 Oak Avenue in Armona. And I'm led to believe if we don't find another place, this is our place. You will greatly change the dynamics in the city of Armona with this project. In Hanford, those are different dynamics when the population is so great. So unless we're able to reach some kind of friendly amendment or something to that effect, I'm opposed to the project. But I'm greatly appreciative of all the efforts, and I hope we have, increased dialogue. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other question or comments? I know that when we allowed hemp to grow in our community and we allowed some of the cannabis to be grown in our ordinance, we were concerned about the activity of the public safety part of it, where they had to provide their own public safety because of the fear of the neighbors around that area. They didn't like the people coming out to it. So are you prepared to do that as well?
Yes, so we definitely pride ourselves on being good neighbors at all the locations that we provide. Our Barbara Seville shelter, I don't think you would know it's a shelter by just going around that location. For this type of community that we would be serving, the residents there, yes, we would take all the measures that we possibly could to make sure that things are properly fenced off, things are properly oversawn or oversought. We would also extend out our radius of influence to where the trash issue, the loitering issues, we would have an outreach effort to close that up and to not let that grow to be a problem.
I know this is kind of a political suicide for us to even be part of this conversation. The last time we did this, I mean, they want to hang us. They don't want to hang you. So, you have to address this to the community before we do anything. We're not going to take the heat for it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to vote for nothing. Last time I got hung out to dry, a lot of things were said in my family. I didn't go anywhere for like 6 months. Still today, people are pissed because they got the wrong information. You got to get the right information out there. I know what you said, I know what you did, but you proposed one thing. So this is political suicide for all of us up here. And I'm not going to take the heat anymore. I took the heat last time and I'm still hearing backlashes from that. So I don't deserve that. Any other comments or questions? Okay. This is going to be a 4/5 vote.
Thank you.
We still have another presentation, then I'll conclude the presentation.
Oh, okay.
Second here, Mark.
All right.
So at this time, I would like to ask Lisa Lewis from Behavioral Health and Rosemary Ron from Public Health.
Hello again. The second federal earmark request is for Kings County Department of Public Health and Behavioral Health for an integrated health center concept. We had a PowerPoint, so we'll share that. So the request is for an integrated health center, and we'll explain that a little bit later. I'm requesting it through the Health Resources Services Administration, or HRSA. And HRSA provides funding to state, county, and municipal governments to respond to pressing healthcare needs, including construction of facilities such as health centers and clinics. Kings County Behavioral Health and Public Health are requesting an earmark for down payment for further financing. We know that this earmark funding that they approve will no way cover the construction costs of a health center. And traditionally, the funding they give isn't always for the full construction. Dr. Lewis and I came together to look at the feasibility of bringing adult mental health services, which we'll explain a little later, and the regular public health department together, which would entail 85,000 square feet of space that would be needed. It would bring public health programs, which we currently have 5 buildings at the campus site, and then we have WIC off on Harris Street. And adult behavioral health services, which spans 3 buildings, with the thought of bringing them all together under one roof in one new construction building. They're currently spread out over locations all over the city of Hanford. And so we're looking at this as a beginning way of getting some funding for this. Okay.
So, hello, Lisa Lewis, Kings County Behavioral Health. The integration of health services offers the following benefit to the community, the county, and the taxpayers. It increases access and ease of access for the community to a large number of programs and services offered by public health and behavioral health. We believe that there would be at least 14 programs or services housed under one roof, so a one-stop approach to public health and adult mental health. It promotes promotes and facilitates provider and program coordination. It decreases the maintenance and costs associated with 8 various aged buildings all over the community, including some of them carrying leases, which are our buildings. Provides space for workforce development, such as program and provider growth, and supports trainings and internships, and lends itself to updated electrical and technological supports for departmental operating centers, the DOC capabilities we believe could be built into this building. The fiscal impact, as Rosemary said, we're requesting part of the funding. The estimated project cost for ground-up construction, including demolition for an 85,000 square foot facility, is $50 million, $530,000. The earmark for the funding limit is $15 million. And as such, it is a request for an initial down payment on the funding of the remainder of the project. The request, if approved, will be awarded by October 23rd, and the funds must be obligated within 12 months. So this is an opportunity through this particular program to request up to $15 million towards this large project. We do know of other projects where the funding that was granted was more than the $15 million limit, but that's what we wanted to stay within the limit of the published limit of the request. So that's it.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, this is a 4/5 vote. Man,
Sorry. So I just wanted to.
Dominic sitting out there.
So under the current rules, members of Congress may only seek earmark funding for projects that are sponsored by state and local governments or nonprofit organizations. So this is why we bring the item to your board this morning. Due to the large number of public entities, any congressional district earmarking process remains highly competitive. Members of Congress are typically only able to submit projects that are really well developed and ultimately funded through the federal budget process. Senator Alex Padilla and Senator Dianne Feinstein have released details on the federal request submission, and it is anticipated that Representative Valadeo will potentially accept federal earmarks. His has not been released, only Padilla and Feinstein. So if your board approves the letter of supports today, they will be submitted to those. Senator Padilla is actually accepting them. Deadline is March 3rd. We did want to, historically, the county has received funding opportunities through the state budget. For one-time funding projects, staff would like to be transparent and bring forward the 2 proposed projects and have the opportunity to submit those through the state budget as well. So that is an action item B. So at this time, the recommendation, if there is no further question, is to authorize staff to submit 2 federal fiscal year 2024 federal earmark project submission. B, authorize staff to submit 2 budget earmark project requests through the state budget process. And C is to authorize the chairman to sign letter of support for the projects submitted to Senator Alex Padilla, Senator Dianne Feinstein, and Representative David Valadeo.
Thank you. I think Wendy has a comment.
We just wanted to offer an amendment to our proposal.
Okay.
Oh, make a statement. You know, I think we recognize and have from the beginning that Hanford's the better location. That's where the bulk of the population are. It was never intended to be exclusively set up for Armona. I think that was to demonstrate the commitment of KCAO. And so if we can look at amending it, I think the if we don't get the earmark, it drastically reduces our chance of actually acquiring land in Hanford. It increases the opportunity for Armona. So, I mean, the irony is by not going for the earmark, we don't have some of the revenue needed to acquire new land. And so I'll let Jeff speak to what he's comfortable with, but removing the specificity around Armona and talking about using the earmark for the first phase of land acquisition and first phase of the project would be my suggestion.
So in order to do so, it would modify the request that would be going to Paragon in the template that is in your board agenda items this morning.
So yeah, Wendy actually stated it very well. So the consideration would then be to pull Armona and then to seek funding to purchase property in the jurisdiction of the city of Hanford.
Okay.
For the concept.
Yeah, and you just brought this awareness to the public at this point, so you're going to get a lot of people wanting to talk to you about it. So be prepared.
Yeah, no, I realize. Yeah.
Okay. This is the 4/5 vote. This is just to see if we qualify for the.
Yeah, I don't believe this is a 4/5 vote. It doesn't require the expenditure of funds. It's a recommendation, so it'll be a 3/5.
3/5 vote, sorry.
Mr. Chair, yeah, I'm intrigued with both of the projects. I appreciate the amendment, and so I will move forward with those earmarks as amended.
Moved by Supervisor Neves. I'll second that. And then, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson,
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
4 in favor, 1 absent. We move forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
So at this time, I want to ask the board, I'd like to move up the study session. We have an out-of-town guest here to make a presentation. And the chair's fallen asleep. So if it's okay,
What's new about that part?
He's leaning, like, I'm not going to say it. So we'll go ahead and we'll go to the study session, and we have Dominic Tyberski. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board. Dominic Tyberski, Public Works Director. I'm before you this morning to initiate a information-only study session regarding additional solar project here at the Government Center. As you know, we have long partnered with Ashu Jain and NG to develop and construct multiple solar producing projects here on the Government Center campus. In recent months, the Sheriff's Office has approached Public Works looking at the possibility of adding some solar to the new Sheriff's Operations Building and also some additional solar in the back lot where he currently has inmate programs functioning. So at this point, I'd like to introduce Ashu Jain, who has a presentation for your board.
Good morning.
Morning, Mr. Chair, Verboon, members of the board and staff. My name is Ashu Jain. I'm with NG North America. It's good to be back in front of your board. As Mr. Tyberski mentioned, this project initially was initiated by the sheriff in discussions with Public Works, and it was regarding doing solar project at the Sheriff's Operations Building. We met and discussed other opportunities relating to the sheriff's operations, the jails, and we conducted a feasibility study, which I'd like to quickly take you through. It shouldn't take more than 5 to 7 minutes. Next slide, please. Next slide. Because we do have one new board member, Supervisor Robinson, I just wanted to very briefly talk about who we are. NG is one of the largest companies in the world. We are the #1 producer of electricity in the world, over 100,000 employees. In the US, it's a company mainly based out of Europe. In the US, we have around 6,000 employees that have been working for the last almost 50 years. We're the largest energy services company in the state. We've done more projects for California counties than anybody else. And we just work for the public sector. That's all we do. Next slide, you can skip probably. Please go to the next slide. Yeah, that's fine. We've done a ton of work with in the Valley and in the counties, California counties. Next slide. So just wanted to mention to the board, we've done 4 projects until now for Kings County, starting in 2004. And actually, I did a project prior to that. Actually, when I was in front of the board last time, I asked for a 20-year service award, and I was denied. I'm hoping this time I can get a 25-year service award. I've been working here since 1998. Kings County, we did 4 projects, HVAC, lighting, solar, battery storage, so cogeneration. So it's been a very successful partnership. The last project that we did was a solar project here at this facility, this complex, as well as across the street in front of the sheriff's buildings. And the county, actually, that was one of the financially, that's become a very good project for the county because we're selling you electricity at around 10.5 cents per kilowatt hour at a flat rate for 20 years. No, it's at 2% escalation. But SCE is going up, as Rhonda Mann would tell you anytime you ask her. SCE is going up by 10 to 12% every year, and your cost from SCE is well over 15 cents. So that has been a very successful project financially for the county, and it's been complete now for a couple of years. So with that, I'll take you through what we are proposing now. Next slide, please. So, we always recommend that you do energy efficiency before you do solar, because it's always good to size the solar project correctly and do, reduce the building's energy consumption. So initially, we were proposing LED lighting just for the sheriffs, the facilities, the jails. So LED lighting, of course, saves you around 50% electricity over what you have right now. And there's really virtually no maintenance needed, so there's a lot of maintenance cost savings, and it'll easily last 20 years. Next slide, please. This is something that's been overlooked by most of our customers. Every building has transformers. These are not owned by the utility, but these are owned by the county. And these are basically converting 480 volts to 277 volts. And transformer technology has improved substantially in the last 10 years. So we recommend replacing all the transformers which are over 25 years old. And there's a lot of them at the county. So we included that measure too. Next slide. So this is the sheriff's, so we are proposing solar at the sheriff's operations building. You can see where there's a dirt lot back in the back. We're going to put canopies. I think we're going to put a height of 14 feet so you can park equipment underneath or vehicles. So these will look exactly like the ones we have here. And all this is very preliminary. So that's what we are proposing for now. Next slide, please. So kind of a little hard to read, but just what we have proposed until now, it's around a $7 million project. If you get it financed over 20 years, there's positive cash flow of $133,000, all very preliminary. We'll come back with guaranteed maximum price, guaranteed savings. If your board, board and staff chooses for us to finalize this project. Right now, we are just presenting basically a concept of feasibility study. The other thing I would like to mention at this point, we develop these projects completely at our risk. If the board, I know this is an information item, if the board chooses to move forward with this, we will finalize, we'll do all the engineering, finalize the cost, come up with guaranteed savings, and come back to staff and board for approval. That effort is going to take around 4 months. So it is an extensive amount of work that we're going to do between now and in the next 4 months. And we don't have an agreement. We don't ask for one. It's done at our risk completely. Next slide, please. So while we were talking to Public Works about this project, it became apparent that there are many other projects that the county really needs. Your air conditioning, besides the one at the central plant that we put in 2009, all your air conditioning or a majority of air conditioning is over its life. So when we sat down with Public Works and their staff, they said their biggest need was to replace all the air conditioning, the older air conditioning, which is past its life. We also found out that there is no LED lighting, or there is not much LED lighting. I think there's one area in the jail that has it. And LED lighting is, phenomenally attractive. It's financially very attractive, and it's better quality lighting. So we want to expand the scope of this project. Again, we'll do all the work, come back to staff and board with a final proposal. So So that's what we are proposing to do, working with your staff. Next slide. So there's some urgency around solar projects. You may or may not be aware that the PUC made a decision in December of last year, which essentially will reduce or kill the solar market in California. So the solar under net energy metering 3.0, which was passed in December, the savings for solar projects will go down by 40 to 50%, both for residential and commercial. There is a window of opportunity between now and April 14th. If we file an interconnection application until April 14th, and SCE and PG&E are requiring that we file them by middle of March to give them time to look at it, the county will grandfather into the current savings for 20 years. So one of the first things we are going to do is to file an interconnection application for the solar project that I just showed you. So it's very important that we do that. And there is no downside to filing the interconnection application. It doesn't mandate that you do the project. On the plus side, there's the Inflation Reduction Act, which will give you 40% cash subsidy for any battery storage or solar project that you do at the county. It's the usual cash subsidy is 30%, but I looked and checked and see that you're in low income, so you get low income bonus of 10%. You might get other bonuses called domestic content and energy communities. The rules are not out yet. We can't apply for it, but the law was passed in August of last year. So for any solar and any renewable energy project we do, including battery storage, the county should get 40% on completion of the project as a cash payment from the Treasury, from the IRS. Next slide, please. Anyway, this just outlines the benefit. As always, this project should be net savings. The county shouldn't have to pay anything. This project that we just identified reduces our electricity bills by around 60% for the government center. Next slide. So the next step, as I mentioned, would be to file the interconnection application, which we'll do in March. It'll take us, unfortunately, 4 to 5 months to develop this entire project, do the engineering, and the scope has suddenly increased. And I think it's a great scope for the county and as well as us to look at all the HVAC and lighting. Just on LED lighting to audit, when we do an audit for LED lighting, we look at every space, count every fixture. That itself is going to cost us around $70,000 to $80,000, and we will start that effort in a couple of weeks. So there is a lot of investment here, but we are happy to make it, especially for Kings County, especially because you're going to give me a 25-year service award. So
get him an award.
Get him a light bulb. LED light bulb.
So we hope to come back in front of the board somewhere in July, August, September timeframe. And if the board approves the project, then we'll implement it in the next 12 to 18 months after that. That's the end of the presentation. We'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any question or comments?
The only question I have is, would it be an amended contract since we're already in the solar, or do you have to apply for a new contract every time you add solar?
That project was closed out. So it was a power purchase agreement. This will not be a power purchase agreement, completely different contract because it includes lighting and air conditioning and other items.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Ashu. Dave Robinson, Kings County Sheriff. Also incorporated Supervisor Verboen mentioned when he came on our tour that we needed some coverings for our stairwells to go up the new operations building. Ashu has assured us that that would be incorporated into this project as well. Although they wouldn't be solar, there would be some coverings to keep the weather at least at bay in those areas. So I wanted to mention that as well. We currently run on the backside of the jail project. We currently won the wood splitting program where the Parks Department brings in the firewood and we cut it and sell it. We have our pheasant project back there, and that's why the raised, it's a little bit more expensive to do the raised, but it allows us to continue to do those programs and actually create some shade for the workers when they're out there as well. And it still gives us plenty of room for growth and expansion. We have another project that we've previously presented to the state, and we were not awarded funding for another expansion project and a recreation area on the backside of our jail facility. And this still leaves plenty of room for those projects. So I just wanted to point that out to your board. Thank you. Thanks.
Very good.
Thank you.
The other one too is with the acquisition of what is currently housed by Calvins.
Yes.
There's another area there that didn't show any
Correct. Yeah.
collectors. And so I don't know if you want to add that to the discussion, just to look at it.
Yeah, we could.
Well, I mean,
You know, because
while we're doing this, I mean, so we're doing probation.
Correct.
Would that be tied to a separate system?
or no, it'd be on the same
Be on an
contract.
existing already, right?
So Ashu and I actually talked before the meeting, and we've been talking about this, the potential to add any additional solar facilities now that we're doing this project. One of the constraints is the existing meter. We are going to look into other opportunities. We did talk about the Calvins building, which will now be part of the sheriff's operations. Any other
So
thoughts?
what's going on, we did our analysis for this building, and what's going on is that the more solar we are adding, you're getting diminishing returns from it. So this 800 or 900 kilowatts that we recommended was kind of the maximum that we can do now. Not that you'll still have a bill, but if I put another 500 kilowatts, the payback is really bad. So we are doing the maximum we practically can. Or which financially, I mean, I'm all about doing solar financially. So that's the size that makes sense financially. What we have to look is if your load is going up, see, that's based on the existing load. If your load's going up, then I might be able to actually add solars. I didn't think about that. So it's something we need to think about.
Yeah, and with the Kings building coming online, that's going to be an added load that has not been there for the last 20 years.
Right. So we did our analysis based on based on the last 12 months of load. So if you're adding it, then maybe, and just to make sure, I did address Sheriff Robinson's point. If you can click to the slide before this, I didn't highlight it, but see, I say on the right top bullet, installed shade cover over the exterior stairs at the sheriff's office building. So I just wanted to make sure that you knew that I did include that.
That's it. That's an umbrella.
We got to pay somebody to hold it. The other thing we talked about is maybe some of the facilities not here at the campus, maybe across the street. The health department, although I'm not sure what we're going to do with that building long-term, so that may not be an option to lock into a 20-year agreement, or possibly the Kingsview facility. Of course, that's owned by the county, and again, that would depend on how that's metered and who actually pays the bill. So we are looking at other options to expand this to the greatest extent possible, because this may be our last opportunity.
It is kind of the last opportunity. After mid-March, I don't think the county would do any more solar.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good project and move forward with that conceptually idea. And I would like to see an expansion because I think you can aggregate the bills. So even if the building is not currently here, I think just about any facility, whether it's the training ground or some other facility owned by the county, I think we can aggregate those
If
bills.
Disneyland can do it, or BART can do it, or Tampa can do it,
That's
we
right.
should be able to do the same thing.
Exactly. So I don't think I would be focused just on structures on this footprint. I think I would again, look to Rhonda and get all the energy bills and see if we can aggregate all those bills and put them together.
Absolutely, and I believe we have the right partner to do
Correct,
that.
exactly. Yeah. Because it would be nice if we could generate in one location and yet augment the bills in all of them.
Okay.
So.
Thanks, sir. Now, do you need like a head nod from us or just?
This is not an action item. I think that general direction to staff to proceed is sufficient.
Okay.
Head nod, yes.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the wait.
Oh, not at all. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.
Okay, Sheriff, you're off the hook. Yep. Okay, we'll go. Anybody need to take a bathroom break or anything?
And take that.
With that?
You gonna take a bath?
No, a restroom. Never mind. Okay, we're gonna go item now, back to administration. Item number 2. Seeking comments regarding potential impact to county operations. Matthew.
Yes, sir. Good morning,
Morning.
Vice Chair, members of the board. Matthew Boyette, Kings County Administration. So on February 10th, we received a letter from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which is inside the U.S. Department of Interior, indicating that the Santa Rosa Indian community of the Santa Rosa Rancheria, which we commonly refer to around here as the tribe, has applied to have some of their real property put into trust, which would in turn make it part of their sovereign nation there on the reservation. So the application is for 2 contiguous parcels. It's 37.19 acres. It's on the south side of Jersey Avenue, just directly west of the entertainment and casino there. That big main parking lot basically splits those 2 areas. So the tribe currently owns the parcel in question in the application. So as part of the application process, the Bureau seeks comments from local government stakeholders to assist them in their decision about the application. And so various county departments received the same notice that the board received. And so those county departments are obviously your board, administration, community development, in particular planning, finance, in particular the tax collector, the sheriff, and fire. And so the letters are soliciting comment in regards to annual amounts of property taxes on the proposed parcels, any special assessments on the proposed parcels, government services currently provided on the property, and if subject to zoning, how the intended use is consistent or inconsistent with the current zoning. So the Bureau does need, or any comments received within 30 days of receipt of the notice will be considered in the Bureau's decision on that application. So we're just here this morning seeking direction from your board on how staff to proceed with the official county response of this notice.
Thank you. I know that we did the compact. Didn't we consider that to be coming into? I think we already considered the increase in the compact from the tribe back to us. So any questions or comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a little history. When the tribe acquired this property, they did cancel the Williamson Act contract. It has been over 10 years, and Chuck, I didn't look up the date, but it's been over 10. Correct. So the contract, the Williamson Act contract is now not part of the discussion. It's been a long-term plan of the tribe and the county that this property would be transitioning in. It's adjacent to the original 40-acre land grant, and it meets all the qualifications. So I think there will be a minimal tax ramification. There'll be a minimal impact to organizations like South Fork Kings, who have the $10 an acre assessment for water issues. And there's going to be some taxing entities, whether they're school bonds or anything else. But again, those are pretty minimal with the size. So if there are no other questions, I would just recommend to go ahead and direct staff to go ahead and write the appropriate letter saying that we have no opposition.
I'm in agreement. We need a vote on that.
Yes, if it's going to come from the board as a body, then there needs to be a motion, a second, and a
By Supervisor Neves to as amended. Have a second? Second by Supervisor Robinson. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
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 Okay, 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good luck.
Item number 3, consider confirming the appointment of Eric Gonzalez for position of Director of Finance effective March 13th at set compensation. He's here.
Poor
Yes,
guy's
he
been
is.
here all day.
He's one of the few members remaining in the audience.
Yeah. He's beginning to rethink his position. You know, he came into a full room and now everybody's gone.
Okay, do I have a,
Would you like me to proceed with the report?
is there a report? You want to talk about anything?
Not if you're not wanting it.
No.
No.
Okay.
Meanwhile, moving right along, I would agree the confirm and appoint the individual as the Director of Finance starting March 13th. And I know you're fiscally responsible, but weren't you going to amend his contract to only half pay for a couple of days?
Yeah. Supervisor Neves, he quickly caught on to that being the CPA that he is. Yeah, didn't fall for it at all. So
Well, good job. You passed the first test. Good job.
We have a motion by Supervisor Neves. Second by Supervisor Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
4 in favor, 1 absent. Welcome to the County of Kings.
Welcome aboard. You want a hat? Yeah.
In 20
Maybe
years.
we'll save that for your first day.
20 years.
You want to say anything? Well, you know, this is your opportunity. You know, we're not going to hold it against your
Once we lock you in your room, you're not coming out.
It's an empty room, so that.
hoping you won't be addressing us often.
So I've had the opportunity to work with the county, so I'd like to thank you guys for allowing me the opportunity to work for the county now. I'm hoping to serve you guys well, and I'm honored and privileged and can't wait to get started.
Good.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate you applying, so thank you.
Yeah. We're going to have a committee meeting on March 20th. So yeah, you're on your second week. We'll have a job for you.
Okay, we'll move on now to the item number 4. Consider receiving update on the American Rescue Plan.
Good morning, board members. Again, the next 4 items come from me, so please bear with me.
Oh, now I might be ready for a break.
The Kings County Board of Supervisors authorized a $6 million funding for the small business support in Kings County. The allocation is a portion of the $29.7 million that we received from the American Rescue Plan Act funds with help to with the response to the recovery of the COVID-19 public health pandemic. On August 3rd, your board approved $500,000 for a small business assistance program. On June 21st of 2022, we came to your board to give an update. At that time, your board approved an additional total of $6 million. Since then, the program has ended as of today. The county did develop a notice of funding availability, and the program began accepting applications online only. The award was up to $25,000 per household. To date, the county has approved 141 applications, disqualified 279 because criteria was not met. 3 of the disqualified are pending appeals, and out of the 141 applications approved, 136 applications have received their award and 5 are pending to receive their funds. As of February 17th, when we wrote this staff report to get it agendized, the county received and reviewed all applications to date with a total of 421 applications received. To date, staff has distributed approximately $2.4 million with a remaining balance of $3.5. County staff is presenting the results of the status of the program and concludes all applications have been reviewed. We will bring back an agenda item to formalize the allocation to adjust the total spent. There's no formal action being requested today, and this concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Next item.
The next item is the Rural County Representatives of California. So the Rural County Representative California, RCRC, is a dedicated to representing collective unique interests of membership. Your board on November 8th adopted a resolution joining RCRC. On August 18th of 2021, the Board of Directors of RCRC voted to approve the formation of Joint Power Authority, the Golden State Connect Authority, for the purpose of expanding broadband access and quality in rural counties. Following the approval of the RCRC board, in order for us to participate in this entity, the board needs to adopt a resolution and the execution of agreement to join Golden State Connect Authority for the purpose of expanding broadband access. So at this time, this is a formal request to adopt the resolution and appoint a delegate and alternative supervisor to sit on the Golden State Connect Authority Board of Directors.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? As a representative of RCRC, it's better that I just stay there. It's all done the same day. After the lunch break, we do the same thing. So I don't have a problem being there. I sat through the last meeting. When I sat there, I didn't understand why we didn't belong to this sooner. Helps our employees out, helps everybody out. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So movement, Chair.
Moved by Supervisor Nev, second by Supervisor Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
If I could clarify the motion before, is the motion to adopt the resolution and to appoint Chairman or Verboen as the delegate?
Yes.
All right.
We also need an alternate for that role as well.
And Rusty.
Rusty.
You didn't hear that part?
No.
I didn't.
Well, we weren't going to tell him. He just has to show up.
Exactly.
He's already alternate now. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that, it just makes a lot of sense. John, have you reviewed the broadband? I know, that's why I seen you come back. So is there anything on the broadband resolution that you would like to discuss or bring to our attention? On the joint powers agreement?
This agreement, no.
Okay,
I'll be coming to your board next week
okay,
with basically seeking your permission to allow Golden State to basically do the work to fulfill the grant.
okay,
So, but I thought we'd do this piece first, then I'll do that presentation next week.
very good. Thank you, John.
Yep. And any questions?
Did you understand the resolution when I read it?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
I understood the presentation.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon.
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
4 in favor, 1 absent.
Doug and Rusty. We all missed that. I apologize.
Ah.
I was thinking it. You should have read my mind.
Today, it's not tuned in. Sorry.
Okay, so that ends your part, right?
Nope.
2 more items.
No,
That's more.
environmental.
So the next item is the Rural Counties Environmental Service Joint Power Authority. So the Rural County Representative California, RCRC, again, is a 39-member county-strong organization that champions policies on the behalf of California rural counties. Again, on November 8th, your board adopted resolution joining RCRC, and within RCRC exists an affiliate Environmental Services Joint Power Authority, ESJPA, which is a statewide government agency comprised of 25 member counties to provide regulatory advocacy and technical assistance to its members on solid waste management, supporting local public education campaigns, and administer grants for recycling and hazardous waste programs. Staff is requesting a proposed resolution to give the county the ability to join this JPA as a full voting member. As a member county, the Kings will benefit for the assistance provided by ESJPA and is in compliance with solid waste management regulatory requirements and waste diversion goals. This concludes my presentation. At this time, we request a formal adoption of the resolution. I would like to note that on the alternative nomination for this, it can be the Public Works Director instead of a board member. So at this time, we request to adopt a resolution to join the Environmental Services Joint Powers Authority for the environmental and regulatory issues related to the planning, management, and operation of solid waste programs, and appoint a delegate and alternative supervisor to the Environmental Services Joint Power Authority.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Again, it's the same day, same meeting, same everything.
Mr. Chair, move to adopt the resolution and appoint the delegate as Supervisor Verboen and Robinson. And could we tie that to the appointed member that serves on the RCRC board so that we don't have to name them names all the time?
You could.
You know,
Yes, you
so
could.
I don't know if we want to do that today because it's not what's not on the agenda. But I think for today's purposes, just go ahead and appoint Supervisor Verboen and Robinson by name. But I think in the future, I may want to amend that and have that whoever the RCRC representative is to go ahead and have them serve as the primary and alternate.
That makes a lot of sense.
And I think, on this one, since you can have a public works director, I think I would have both of those individuals, and could we also add or an appointed alternative?
You mean so have the delegate and then the alternate and then another alternate?
Correct.
Mr.
Mr. Hill has a
You
question.
could bring him to the meeting, but I would recommend him, the elect.
Say elected official?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because it was kind of unique on this one that you could have a staff person, and I think that would be very appropriate.
It'd be a expensive, I think they pay the travel
Do they?
and the hotel room, but you're talking maybe a 30-minute meeting in Sacramento. I don't know how, if we could do it online too, I guess, but,
You can always link them in because they're not a voting member, so they can participate.
depending on what the issue is, we can bring them to the meeting at the
Okay.
same time.
Yeah, I'll withdraw that discussion then.
If it pleases the board, Ms. Barbara Hayes, the Economic Development Officer for RC is online with us as well, may be able to answer those questions. And then also for this JPA, I do know that they recommend that the alternate be somebody that has solid waste experience. So that's why they open it up to the Public Works Director or whoever in that county.
Both of them can talk garbage. So both of them fit that category.
So who's online?
Barbara Hayes from RCRC.
Barbara, how are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning, supervisors. Yes, for the delegate, the primary seating, we do request that it be an elected supervisor. And for the alternate position, it is recommended / requested that it be somebody with waste experience.
Okay, no problem. Appreciate that. You know, we're new to this, so you might have to interrupt us anytime you see us going
No,
on.
you're doing a great job.
Hey, you good with that?
Sir.
Okay.
So for clarification, the motion is, can you restate Supervisor Neves?
I'm rethinking about that because, once again, you know, yeah, because you brought up some good points about travel and availability and it.
We're talking occasionally when it's on the
Correct.
agenda, he'd come up there. I can get along with him for a short time, but if he needs a vote on it, he'll have to call in or he could show up.
Yeah. And while I appreciate the comments of having somebody with waste experience, I'm sure we can coach you through just about anything that comes up. And so I think I'm going to stay with my original.
Okay, you okay with that, Barbara?
That sounds perfect. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion by Nev, second by Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs,
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes,
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
thank you very much. Thank you, Barbara. Okay, next item.
Okay, the last item of request today is again from the, it is on the behalf of Rural County Representatives of California, RCRC. Within RCRC exists the affiliate Golden State Finance Authority, a California Joint Power Authority with a mission to provide affordable housing and contribute to social economic well-being of California residents. GSFA develops and administers programs that provide a source of financing for residential home purchases or refinances. There is no cost to join this JPA, and this concludes my report. At this time, I would like to request and adopt a resolution approving the execution agreement to join the Golden State Finance Authority, Joint Power Authority, and appoint a delegate and alternative supervisor to the Golden State Finance Joint Powers Authority.
Thank you. Question or comments?
Mr. Chair, once again, I think we'd adopt and execute the agreement and appoint Supervisor Verboon and Robinson as the primary and alternate, but explore the ability to go ahead and have that tied to the alternate and primary of the RCRC organization.
We have a motion and we have a second. Moved by Supervisor Nev, second by Supervisor Fagundes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Joe Nevs.
Yes.
Doug Verboon,
Yes.
Rusty Robinson.
Yes.
Richard Fagundes.
Yes.
Okay, 4 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you, Barbara, again. We have a meeting next Wednesday, correct?
We do at 9 a.m.
Okay, I'll see you there.
We'll see you then. Thank you, supervisors.
Thank you. All right, so I think that's your excuse there. Okay, so we'll go on now to board member comments. Any person want to direct their comments to action they've taken over the last month? And I'll start with Supervisor Robinson. You've got a list there.
I'll try and make it through quick, I know. Let's see, got to go way back, February 10th. Through the 14th, I was with Supervisor Verboen. We went to Washington DC for the NACO conference, which is the National Association of Counties. Supervisor Verboen was my Valentine. That saved me some money. We had conferences.
Are you saying he's a cheap date?
We had conferences with several undersecretaries, Transportation Secretary Buttigieg. We spoke to encourage streamlining permits for increased water storage in the dams, encourage them to speak to the Coastal Commission on desal projects. Let's see, where am I at on my notes? Thursday, February 16th, I attended the San Joaquin Valley Air Central Pollution District Board meeting. And the Air Board has been responsible for cleaning up about 90% of the air quality since the mid 80s. And I invited Director Samir Sheikh to come visit Kings County. They've been pretty successful in their efforts. We also shifted our focus from large farmers to small farmers for grant funding in order to touch more job creators and help the economy. And then on Thursday and Friday, which was the 24th, 25th, I was at the New Supervisor Institute hosted by CSAC in Sacramento. And I had the opportunity to speak with the Majority Whip, who is also the co-chairman of the Delta Legislative Caucus. And I spoke with her about the water situation in the Delta region. Unfortunately, her response was not exactly positive, as I might have expected. But she said that the meetings they've had lately, the Delta is not open much to the tunnel system up there. And what else?
2 pages?
No, it's almost done.
We have notepads.
More importantly, when we went back to DC, we had the chance to lobby John Watts, who's one of the main people for Dianne Feinstein. And once again, we lobbied them on water and the various issues associated with water. We did the same thing at Speaker McCarthy's office. And also we spoke with Valadeo's people in regards to that. So, and yes. And we went to Congressman Duarte's office as well. Tried to offer up some different solutions. I know the governor's bent on underground water storage, but we tried to provide some other options. Desal, of course, some of the things that we've heard before, the Delta water system, et cetera. But that was my couple weeks. Thanks.
Very good. Much for goodness.
Not much. Good to stand around and watch the rain like we have had, and it's good to help the farmers re-irrigate and help the water stable and the unpredicted snow that we had here in the valley.
Yep, that's very nice.
Great. Thank you.
Supervisor Neves.
Very good, thank you. February 7th, first 5, we reviewed the report from the subcommittee and going to move forward with the spending plan with the reduction of tobacco revenue. There is a discussion, and then fewer babies are being born, so it has resulted in reduction in funding. But we're going to move forward and we're going to spend it down until we get down to our reserves. We also approved the regional technical assistance, home visitation, coordinating official activities throughout the region, and that'll save a little bit of money. And then the spotlight on service was the Kings United Way and the referral exchange system. Unitas has been around federally for a long time, and they want to bring that national software program in. That'll bring technology into meeting the needs of a lot of the whole person care, food distribution, and a lot of other organizations. It is a new concept and idea by bringing everybody in to an online system. And a lot of these community-based organizations don't have that infrastructure, so we may have to help them out and get them hooked up. I want to congratulate the Kings County Library for having the ribbon cutting for the mobile unit. Adds another library to the system, first time in a long time, and we certainly want to thank them for that. It was a nice little vehicle, compact, and I think it's going to serve the community for a long time. The City County Coordinating Conference was held at the Lake Bottom Conference Center, and you can expect Eric, later, that way, make sure everybody knows, understands that that's a conference center and not that it's a bar. So we, so I named that conference center, just to help out some of the financing. West Hills College had a 2-day, retreat, talking about rebranding, community colleges and colleges across the country really have struggled a little bit trying to come back from the pandemic. A lot of the high name, high dollar universities continue to do extremely well. But many of the other ones, Chapman, Bradman, they just continue to consolidate into UMass and some of the other organizations just because of the economy of scale. And it's just difficult to run an institution of higher learning. So we're trying to figure out how to do that in Lemoore. Lemoore has always been tied to West Hills College, Molinga. And now there's another satellite campus in Fireball. And so the discussion is maybe staying under the West Hills College district, but maybe follow more along the state center model where each community has its own name recognition and connection. But it will probably still remain under the West Hills College district, but there could be a different name to that facility in the future. Had the opportunity to go with the Avenel Rotary to the Parkfield Valentine Day trip. I was glad it wasn't 2 weeks later because there was snow over there on that 2 weeks later, but on that particular trip, it was a nice trip, a very nice day, a little bit of rain, but very nice to see the mountains green and a lot of activity over there. They were having to replace some pipes in some of that because there is a lot of watershed in that area, but it was a nice trip. Assisted Richard Fagundes with the young ladies' official visit in Lemoore, 75th anniversary for that organization. And just happy to do that. I didn't do a whole lot, but I sat there and watched. And it worked out very, very nice. So thank you for that. And got a good meal. So that's better yet. Calviva held its first meeting of 2023 and on February 16th in Fresno. The draft budget was presented and we kind of talked about it. We'll have 2 more shots at that before it gets accepted. We're also talking about accreditation, and Mr. Hill might have a little bit more information on that. Accreditation is one of those things that have been put on the table and will cost the organization. We put about $500,000 to acquiring that accreditation, as well as Rosemary, and it's just one of those accreditations that the governor is wanting to put on managed care insurance. And so we're going to pursue that and see what it can happen. There are a few more hoops to jump through. I think we're probably 65-70% already there. I think Jeffrey thinks a little bit higher. So I think it's not going to be too big of a problem, but the final obstacles are going to be the more expensive ones. So started the 2023 softball season with the 19th opening day at Laurie Romero Gardner Field. Wrapped up the West Hills College basketball season on February 17th, and it was a good season. We're glad it's over. The Kings County Homeless meeting that was scheduled for the 21st was canceled, as well as the Kings County Master Plan for Aging was canceled. And then yesterday's behavioral health, we weren't able to make quorum. So I think at some point we need to probably talk about some of these committees. I think the behavioral health one.
Just therapy, no quorum?
Just therapy, yeah. I told you it's a committee assignment, not an appointment. But we probably need to talk about some of these committees, the size of them, because currently behavioral health yesterday, for example, only has 7 members appointed. And so all 7 would have to be present in order to establish a quorum, because we just have that many seats vacant. That one will be problematic because that one is a third consumers, a third family consumers, and a third public. So that one would be problematic, but we probably need to go back and look at the homeless and then this King's Tulare master plan for aging, we're probably going to get aged out here pretty quick. We're getting to the end of that. And had we been able to establish quorum, we could have probably wrapped it up this month, but it's probably going to go to February or March now, or March or April now. CART, we had the first public hearing to receive testimony on unmet transit needs in the community, and we continued it to March 22nd. So if you know of anybody that has any comments or questions or concerns about some of the routes or anything else going on in the CART, we also approved a hybrid board meeting that will allow the public more access to the organization. Board members with the changing Brown Act will have to adjust the protocol and be attending in person, but we have opened up satellite capabilities in Avenel so that if members over there would like to attend the meeting, they don't have to come all the way into Hanford. The other thing just to note, and I think everybody else is going through the same thing, natural gas prices have gone up. The natural gas and the fleet is predominantly natural gas. Our normal fuel expense is $20,000 a month. For the month of January is $76,000. So it's not just the individuals that are going through some big natural gas expenses. It affects many organizations as well. The KCAG meeting received the Transportation Development Act funding based on population and went through all that and approved that. Also approved the draft overall work budget for 2023, 2024. It will go to Caltrans, and then we'll have a public meeting on that as well. And we also reviewed the second quarter financial reports. We also talked about the teleconferencing options for that organization as well, and we remain a hybrid organization where we will have satellite again in Avenel and Corcoran to enable members of the community to be involved. I did attend the Hanford Chamber Awards dinner. Sensory Rock was honored as the Business of the Year. Children's Storybook Garden nonprofit. Sherry Toss, also the operator and operator of Sensory Rock, was the Citizen of the Year. And Charles Wilson posthumously was acknowledged, as well as Jacob Sanchez, that was here this morning, received his award. Cabrillo Club meeting yesterday was very well attended. We had not very well attended, I'll correct that. We had Portuguese spaghetti. So it was kind of a little bit different meal, but it was very nice. And it kind of reflects the problems that service clubs and fraternity organizations are just struggling with attendance as older people get to where they don't want to travel and younger people are not involved and not engaged. So it's unfortunate. That used to be a full event and a lot of fun, and it's still a lot of fun, but just not as many people. Yesterday at the Behavioral Health Board, even though we didn't have a quorum, we had a community meeting. We talked about the Mental Health Services Act planning that's coming along, as well as a board retreat prior to COVID, and probably even a couple of years before that. As we had new members, we would have a board retreat and talk about Brown Act and the roles and responsibilities of a board member. And so we're going to bring that back and bring that part of the onboarding of new commissioners. And then the rain event certainly brought a lot of rain to the valley and snow to the surrounding mountains. Pine Flat this morning still stands at 54%. Army Corps of Engineers stepped in, and there's some flood release going on. There's also some uncontrolled flood release coming on the creeks and rivers that were below the dam. The coordinated run starts tomorrow, so a lot of irrigation districts will be coming on March 1st. The ski lodges feel that they'll be skiing for 180 days. It's shaping up to be a good water year. We just hope the governor doesn't mess it up, because again, that whole Department of Water Resources has a tendency to not to be able to pivot and adjust very well. and they continue to be in the drought mode rather than shift to a flood mode. And I hope that doesn't affect our operations here in Kings County. There's going to be a tremendous amount of watershed and that is currently on the hills in the form of snow now. So we certainly hope for a cool spring and hopefully a cooler summer because some of that snow and ice will probably stay up there hopefully until July or August, or at least we hope so. We certainly don't want a warm storm coming in now and melting it all, and that would create a bad catastrophic event or a warm up that causes that snow and ice to melt prematurely. So, but with that, I think a lot of the water channels are be able to accept an extraordinary amount of water. In Stratford on Friday and Saturday, we received 3¼ inches, kind of a record. I think Hanford set a record as well at 2 and a little short of 3 inches. But the soil profile seems to be handling that very, very well. I went over to the site on 10th Avenue where the prefab houses are going in because that's my only concern with that location is that its elevation, it's down low. It's the watershed of that, almost that whole section. And yet it was handled in the water very well. And so, but that continues to concern me. As long as the soil profile can handle the water, I think you're going to see 40 or 50% of the water going down the Kings River is going to be absorbed and not going to be the end of the tailpipe. So that will probably last 3 to 6 weeks. And then again, we just keep praying for a cooler spring and a moderate summer. And I think it'll be fine. But there probably will be flood release for a while. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Not much I can add to it. It's pretty much covered. So we'll move on now to upcoming events.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If it pleases your board and reading the room, I'm happy to submit this report in writing if you'd rather have it that way.
Fine. We'll move on now to information items and future agenda items.
That same report as well.
Go down to closed session and we have 1 item, 2 items. Personal matter, Government Code Section 54957, Public Employee Appointment, Chief Probation Officer, and Conference with Labor Negotiator, Government Code Section 54957.6, Negotiator Ed Hill, and Representative Management. With that, this meeting is adjourned.